Okay, welcome in. Happy Monday. How's everybody doing? Hope you all had a good weekend. It was Valentine's weekend. And thank you for the heart me. Appreciate that. Yeah, same here. Holidays throw me off as well, Zeno, the Padre. And I think it's going to be the next one's like Easter, right? But that's not really a holiday because that starts on a Sunday, right? So that's going to be problematic. Let's ban that one. All right. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be this is the last one for a while, right? So, nonetheless, hope everybody's having a good Monday. And let's share out this live. Let's tap the screen to get some likes going and sharing it out, especially long press that screen on TikTok and share it to all your friends. Let's get some folks in here. And let's get some good conversations going about the best evidence that God is real. So if you are a believer in the God of the Bible, God of the Torah, or the God of the Quran, request up. And let's hear your evidence that God is real. So had some good clips too from the last few days. Christopher Bearer of Christ, hello. Bonnie K, good day. Welcome in, folks from the YTube side. And hope you all had a good weekend as well. So, you know, I was going through some of my notes and over the weekend, and I found a pretty good one regarding a follow-up response question to folks who say that God is timeless. I think the one thing that nobody really considers is space, because God is timeless. It's a very underrated aspect, and because God also needs space, right? So if God is to exist, and so where is God if God is timeless? That means God has to rely on space. He cannot exist outside of space. He can't exist without space. So you just have to, so that's the thing. God is contingent, relies on space. God is not more, so that means that God is not omnipotent, right? Can't exist outside of space. So the whole thing collapses. It just doesn't make sense. So I think the best argument for God would be something along the lines of fine tuning, but ultimately it collapses as well. And existence requires time. Exactly. Existence does require time, and existence requires space. So what that means is that God is reliant upon space. It's not more powerful than space, so he can't be omnipotent. Krista Humanist, good to see you. And thank you for the heart me Queen Laquifa. Ethereal Ember, thank you for the heart me. Gems, thank you for the heart me. And Kristen Humanist, thank you for the rose. Appreciate it. Space. It's only what we can tell you we've experienced. If that's your evidence for God, that means that Ali the O'Malley cat, that means that every religion is true. That means every religion in history is true because all believers rely on experience. That means that the Greek oracle people, prophets, the Greek oracle prophets, is that who they were? I forget what they're called. Greek oracle prophets are, that means Greek gods were real. It means that Wiccan is real, is true. Hinduism is true. And they can't all be true. So, Ali, if your experience is true, then the Wiccan's experience is true. Hindu's experience is true. And, you know, and if that's the case, Ali, that means that atheism is true for me because I was one way before and now I'm totally different too. So that means that atheism is true. There is no God. See how that works? So if you're using something as your evidence, but it demonstrates it for everybody that have competing beliefs, then that's not really evidence, is it? Can't be. That ends up not making sense. So you know, it's just the same thing. So if I have, well, yeah, but if you don't have evidence or proof, then you have belief without evidence, right? And why would you believe something that you don't have evidence for? Oh, we see that and we understand that. But you're here for some reason, right? You're here for some reason. And a lot of people who do believe in God try to convince everybody. And there are people out there who are passing legislation for belief without evidence, and that is irrational. It's irrational to try to legislate things against people for a belief you can't demonstrate is true. And that's harmful. I mean, we're going to take rights away for people for something we can't even prove is true. So we should be, you know, for beliefs, just keep it to yourself. It is immoral to say, I'll pray for you or Jesus loves you. Those are immoral things to say. Subjectively immoral. Yeah, I agree with you, Garrett, MD. Fine tuning ultimately doesn't work. It is the best argument, but it's the best of all the bad ones. There's just nothing but bad arguments for evidence that God's real. And, you know, philosophical arguments have never proved anything. It's just a framework that you go by. How have we demonstrated everything that is real in this existence? Science. Everything. We have not demonstrated one thing to be true with philosophy, not a single one. But it's a framework on how you can organize your thoughts and be logical and hey, it's important, but it's never going to trump science in that sense. So and good to see you, Elizabeth. So if we've got anybody who has evidence that God is real, taking guests up who believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran, request up and let's talk about it. Literally nothing comes close to the evidence of Christ. Oh, that's not true. We have way more evidence for many more historical figures. And we have no evidence that Christ was, now it depends which Christ you're talking about. Now, if you're talking Jesus, we have no evidence that Jesus is even divine. Zero evidence of that. true. God is the unknowable and unnameable, the inconceivable. Then God doesn't exist. I mean, how do you explain there being something rather than nothing? It's always here. Universe was always existing. But God doesn't explain it either. So that's just wishful thinking, right? I mean, I'm not going to lie. I like the idea of an all-powerful, all-loving, all-omnipotent or omniscient God, all-knowing God that answers prayers. I love that idea. That's a great idea. You know, concept is great, but ultimately it doesn't make sense. It's not coherent. Eyewitness account isn't enough to count as evidence. So then there's eyewitness accounts in other religions, Anthony. So that means all of those religions are true that have eyewitness accounts. You've got 30,000 witnesses who swore they saw Nero, the former emperor of Rome, resurrect. That means Nero must have resurrected, right? So we've got so then that just invites other problems. The universe was not always here. It started at the Big Bang. 68% of scientists do not agree with you, user 94509. So you got to look that up. Your information is outdated. So Dominic is putting some type of syllogism in there, but I'm not going to go back and read all that. If you want to talk about it, request up. Then we can dismantle it. So, but we just don't have any evidence that a God exists, that a God is real. I happen to think that, you know, we have no evidence of that. So anybody who wants to request up, wants to talk about their evidence that their God is real, request up. Let's see what we have over on the YouTube side. Nobody yet. So no takers yet. That's okay. Yep. Classical theists do disagree with me, but they can't demonstrate that their God is real. You're underage, so you can't. Okay. Well, many of your peers, Dominic, are very dishonest. A lot of kids come up and request. Request isn't available? Well, for you, it's not available. So you have to use another account or do something about your current account to make it work. It's just not working. Pink and blue people icon. Yeah, if you don't have a pink and blue icon, then you can't request up. There's something wrong with your account. The Big Bang was the sound of God exploding. That's just rhetoric. Evidence. We need evidence. Zero energy is zero energy. It's nothing. But we have no evidence that there was ever zero energy. Actually, we have evidence that there's always been energy, that all energy has always existed, which kind of makes sense. You have to have energy in order to have an event like the Big Bang. It has to pre-exist the Big Bang. So that just completely blows up the something from nothing. And I would actually challenge Christians. Actually, Christians and Muslims believe that something came from nothing. So you need to explain that. There are logical paradoxes that arise from universe existing. And again, scientists don't agree with you. So let's have somebody up. Science learns something new every day. Exactly. Creation ex nihilo. Something from nothing is Christian doctrine, not anything scientific. Yep. So that means that Christians believe something came from nothing, because then you just start asking them, well, how did God create things? What materials did God use to create? And then where do those materials come from? And then you start getting into a infinite regress. So it's like you can't have infinite regress, and then they use infinite regress. So they just don't realize that only thing that disproves science is better science. Exactly. And you don't have that in religion. The only thing that disproves religion is better religion. No. Because you just run into a wall eventually. And then you just have to kind of make up things to, or just slip God into all these gaps. God is above time and space. So how does God exist above space? He needs space. So he can't exist outside of space. That doesn't make sense. Why do you atheists always talk about God even though you don't believe in any religion? Because God believers won't leave us alone. That's why. And it's dangerous to have beliefs that you can't demonstrate are true, especially when you're trying to legislate other people's rights away. That's a problem. So somebody's got to say something, but God believers won't leave me alone. Are you an atheist from all that you've seen and heard in today's time? Yep. Just no evidence. There's just not enough evidence, insufficient evidence that God exists, that God is real. Any gods are real. Again, what evidence is there of the Big Bang Theory? Cosmic microwave background radiation, the DESI data, objects in space moving away from each other, which, we can demonstrate there's expansion, and what happens in a bang? Expansion. So we have lots of evidence that the Big Bang occurred. Way more evidence of the Big Bang than we do of God. Let me put it that way. And we don't have to answer you anything. Actually, if you are a Christian, yes, you do, Augie. You are required to defend your belief. 1 Peter 3, verse 15. Go read it. Clearly, you haven't read the Bible. All you need to do is die, then you'll see him. And you have no evidence of that. You can't demonstrate that to be true. So, no reason to believe it. God is real. That's not evidence. That's just a statement. And the fact that he created, again, a statement, a claim, he doesn't do any maintenance. All claims, no evidence. Host, what's your evidence? Quantum eternity theorem, quantum mechanics. A couple of syllogisms. I just went over God can't be outside of space. God needs to rely on space. So that means God isn't omnipotent. You know what definitely comes from nothing? Nothing. Yep. Scientists and any rational person agrees with you, Tim P. You don't know just like we don't know. Never said I did. How does quantum theory prove that? Well, read up on quantum theory and you'll find out. Big Bang Theory has been bankrupt for years. It's absolutely laughable at best now. And that is a science denier. So, Orbank, how do you suppose that you use the internet if you're denying science? That's why I choose to believe that God created. So that's delusion, Tim. You're choosing to believe despite the evidence. That's just delusion. That's just denial. So just because you say so, no, I didn't say so. I said there's no evidence that God is real. That's my statement. And so there's no evidence. So what is your evidence that God is real? You haven't given me anything. You're agnostic and not atheist. No, I'm an agnostic atheist. You have to look up the terms. So you're not familiar with the terms. There's no evidence from the Big Bang Theory. Jeez, Tim P. Wow. Oh, I am weeping for the education in this country. Godwin, good to see you. The education, and that's the other reason. I'm seeing every day that education in this country has just eroded. Salman Aziz, I highly doubt it. If you're a Muslim, no, you won't. We are cooked based on the responses in chat. Yeah. Maybe not. There is hope. because aren't Xennials like the lowest believing group in history? I'm a Shia Muslim. Look it up. It all makes sense. No, it makes no sense. You've got Allah making the earth before the sun. Makes no sense. The fool says in his heart there is no God. And also, well, then that means you should be a Scientologist, because Scientologists say that those who deny Scientology are deluded. They're mentally insane. Kent Hovind, he's a fraud. Kent Hovind is a fraud. How long ago was the Big Bang Theory? At least 13.8 billion years ago. Oh my, OMG, I'm going to follow you to try and request. Oh, geez. A Shia Muslim is going to follow to try to convince me that God is real. Oh, that's not going to be good for them. Because M's is going to come up, and then, oh boy, it's just not going to, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Yeah. Not going to happen, Selman. Who is M's? What is M's? Oh, you'll find out. Just request up and you'll find out. Yeah, M's. I saw M's the other day in Justin's live. Warming up the M signal. Yeah, let's just, yeah. But you know, since the last Muslim that got cooked, they haven't been coming back, and because they just don't like the line of questioning that we go down. So hey, you know, good thing is we got 16,000 likes already, so that's great. All right, well, we have a guest, so let's bring him up real quick. And Reckless, I'll get to you, so hang in there if you can. But let's bring up the first guest, Bingus Law. How's it going? How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. First was an echo of my voice, and second, I can barely hear you.
And second, I can barely hear you. Let me try to fix this. Hold on. Is it better now?
Oh, much better. Much better. All right. Well, thanks for doing that. Hey, Bingus, are you at least 18? And do you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran? Which one?
Yes.
Okay.
The Quran. I'm a Muslim.
You're a Muslim? All right.
Yeah.
What's your best evidence that God is real? Justice for Aisha. Justice for Aisha.
Just my life experience.
Your life experience?
What was that?
Oh, I just said justice for Aisha. So your life experience, then that means that every religion is true.
I
think we lost you. All right. Well, it sounds like you have some audio issues, Bingus Loss, or maybe Wi-Fi issues. So how about request up, or address those and then request back, and we can talk. All right. We'll do a little bit of time for friendlies. We'll do a quick announcement, then we'll bring a friendly up, and then we'll move on to more talk.
I just have a question.
Yeah?
It's in Numbers.
Okay.
And Numbers, like the whole chapter of 5.
Okay.
Somebody told me to go read it, and it looks like this is like being misogynistic, especially in 27 when it says, when he has made her drink the water, then it shall be. If she has defiled herself. By the way, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. And
okay.
Numbers 5:17 through 31. Yes.
Bitter what waters. Is that about? Can you explain that to me, please?
Yes. So we'll bring it up so everybody can see it. Numbers 17 through 31. This is a test to see if a woman who is pregnant has cheated on her husband or not. So let me bring it up on screen so everybody can see it. Yeah, this is extremely misogynistic, and this is actually probably one of the ones I should talk about more, because not only is it misogynistic, and it also demonstrates that God has no problem with abortion. So it says here, the priest shall take holy water in an earthen vessel and take some of the dust that is on the floor of the tabernacle and put it into the water. The priest shall set the woman before the Lord, dishevel the woman's hair, and place in her hands the grain offering of remembrance, which is the grain offering of jealousy. So this is for a jealous husband. In his own hand the priest shall have the water of bitterness that brings the curse. Then the priest shall make her take an oath, saying, if no man has lain with you, if you have not turned aside to uncleanness while under your husband's authority, be immune to this water of bitterness that brings the curse. So, but if you have gone astray while under your husband's authority, if you have defiled yourself and some man other than your husband has had intercourse with you, let the priest make the woman take the oath of the curse and say to the woman, the Lord make you an execration and an oath among your people. When the Lord makes your uterus drop, your womb discharge. So there's the abortion. So this is for a pregnant woman. And it's basically saying if the husband suspects that she's had an affair and gotten pregnant by another man, he can invoke this with the priest and make her take an oath in the tabernacle. And the priest will make her drink water. This bitter water that he's made from the dirt of the floor of the tabernacle. And if she has an abortion, then that means that she has lain with another man. So not only would this cause an abortion, but it would also mean that they would think that she had committed adultery and they would end up stoning her. So
holy shit.
Yeah. Now may this water that brings the curse enter your bowels and make your womb discharge your uterus drop, and the woman shall say, amen, amen. I believe, I believe. Wow. Then the priest shall put the curses in writing and wash them off in the water of bitterness. He shall make the woman drink the water that brings the curse, and the water shall bring the curse, shall enter her and cause bitter pain. So it actually causes her pain because it's a miscarriage, right? The priest shall take the grain offering of jealousy out of the woman's hand and shall elevate the grain offering before the Lord and bring it to the altar. And the priest shall take a handful of the grain offering as his memorial portion and turn it into smoke on the altar. So that's the offering to God. And afterwards shall make the woman drink the water. When he has made her drink the water, then if she has defiled herself and has been unfaithful to her husband, the water that brings the curse shall enter into her and cause bitter pain, and her womb shall discharge, her uterus drop, and the woman shall become an execration among her people. But if the woman has not defiled herself and is clean, then she shall be immune and be able to conceive children. So here's the thing. Not only can it be an abortion, but it can also be a way to have a hysterectomy so that she never can have children ever again. Because then she says, yeah, and be able to conceive children. So it doesn't matter. So it can be when she's pregnant. It can be before she's pregnant. This is the test. So this is the law in case of jealousy, when a wife, while under her husband's authority, goes astray and defiles herself, or when a spirit of jealousy, so when the man suspects she is cheating, when the spirit of jealousy comes on a man and he is jealous of his wife, then he shall set the woman before the Lord, and the priest shall apply this entire law to her. The man shall be free from iniquity, but the woman shall bear her iniquity. So if the man's wrong, he's free from iniquity. All he needs to do is suspect that she's cheating. But the woman shall bear. Yeah. So this is very, very misogynistic. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm glad that you explained it the way that it could be, because I had somebody on my live today and messaged me and said, no, it's not about abortion. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to ask somebody who has more knowledge than
That's
you.
Cap. they're lying. They're lying. Yeah.
That's why I'm like, okay, Trust, you better be live today, because this is what is the question.
Yeah, it's totally barbaric. And see, that's the thing, Pokagurumi. Not only does it make her infertile if she is quote unquote guilty, it also subjects her to being stoned to death. So she's going to be infertile. She goes through this pain. Her womb, she has a hysterectomy essentially. And then she's subject to be stoned to death. It's awful. Hey, speaking of serious trouble, going? We have redheaded trouble here.
Yeah.
Not awful though. Not awful. Not like this verse. No. Very
Right.
pleasant,
I would
serious trial.
add though
Love how
on
he
that.
was like, speaking of.
Yeah. I
Right.
mean, this is like the sacrificial like system. This is like where they're gaining this dirt from is like the middle of like where they do all the
It's all
sacrifices.
the tabernacle. Yeah, it's the sacrifices. Exactly. So that's probably a
Exactly.
really like poisonous.
Oh my God.
toxic
It's gotta be
dirt.
like, imagine
Yeah.
like being in a slaughterhouse
Mm,
and like getting and like making this cocktail that they served women from like the floor of a slaughterhouse.
yeah.
And
Wow.
that's pretty
That's right.
much like what you're getting.
Yeah, that's all the burnt offerings, the blood, all the guts,
All of it.
everything.
All
Yeah,
of
because it's
it.
in the floor of the
Everything.
tabernacle. Exactly. And they're making
I
this
don't think
tea
they
out
would
of
get a
it.
good like I don't think they'd pass the like sanitary inspection, you know,
Yeah.
like the grading system that they have like in California.
USDA would have a field day.
Yeah.
Exactly. Look at all the friendlies just coming in to pile on. Hey, Godwin.
Hey, how's it
So
going?
yeah.
I'm sorry
Good.
about the
Hey
sound.
Godwin.
I'm gonna jump off, but I just wanted to mention that the bitter water also contained magic words from a scroll that you rinse.
Yeah.
I mean
That's right.
poison. I mean ink that you rinse into the potion,
Oh,
which is
good point.
obviously poison.
That's right.
And this is just a great example of just the superstitious like practices that were attached to so many like you know you really get a good view from this passage of just how superstitious this culture was and
Oh,
just
for sure.
across like the ancient world.
For sure.
It's just driven by superstition and a lot of these passages too like kind of you can kind of trace this like to even just like medieval practices of within Christianity of just the ordeal.
Oh yeah. For
Like
sure.
this is an example of a great example of where you get the ordeal from, where you're using this evident or this practice to, you know, determine God's will.
Oh yeah, and these are offshoots for how they were trying to sniff out witches, quote unquote witches.
Yeah,
You know, those practicing witchcraft.
Same mentality. Absolutely.
Same mentality. Yeah, that's exactly
In
what
that
it is.
in that
And this is
same
God's
vein,
law.
there's so many. In that same vein, there's so many Christians today who, well, and always have been, right, who talk about like the witchcraft, who talk about the occult as if Christianity hasn't been part of that from its very inception.
Exactly.
I mean, the eating the body, drinking the blood, even if it is symbolic, it is a ritual that is done in the same manner that a witchcraft ritual would be done.
Oh yeah, it's blood magic.
And yeah, well, yeah, Catholics actually, I was just about to mention that Catholics actually believe in transubstantiation. So they believe that it actually becomes the body and blood of Christ. And so the cognitive dissonance between, you know, because now that I'm out of it, right, I see how my cognitive dissonance was. I didn't see any of that, those rituals, the blood, the singing about blood, the like all of this stuff. It becomes so normal, it becomes so rote that you don't even notice it.
It's cultish too. Yeah, it's cultish.
Yeah, well, and that's the whole thing. Yeah, and it's not until you really step outside of it that you're like, oh, that is really disturbing and dark.
Yeah, that's that. I noped out of Catholicism when I realized, because I didn't even know up until like, because this part of the catechism just went right by me, but it was I was expressing some doubts and my mom got me a book and it was called What Catholics Really Believe, and it said it plain as day in there that when they say this is the body and blood of Christ, it literally becomes the body and blood of Christ, and you have to believe that. And that's when I noped out. I'm like, all right, guess I'm not a Catholic anymore.
This is too weird for me.
It's too weird. Yeah, it's too much. That's a bridge too far for me. So that's when I was done with Catholicism. That was the moment, and that's when I became just a Christian. And so didn't go far enough. But long story short, here I am now. But yeah. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
We all had to take that journey.
We all did. We all did. Yeah, that's just the thing. Like I'm very impressed by. I think a lot of it has to do with like the amount of information that's out there today. Because I'm very impressed with folks who deconstruct really fast nowadays. Like Reckless, like you deconstructed pretty fast.
4
And
months ago. Yeah.
yeah, and I think that's fantastic because, you know, in my time, we didn't have all the access to this information. You had to go look it up, or you had to go ask somebody. And if you ask somebody, most likely it was a priest or, you know, a pastor in a religion.
Yeah.
And
see, I was told
they would
not
put
to
their spin
question
on it.
anything.
Yeah.
You know, the religious people said, no, you're not to question anything. And that's when I found you. And the first two things that I watched, I'm like, oh, should I ask him? Should I not? But I was brave enough to say, all right, I'm just going to fucking ask the questions, you know? And then you told me what was right, and I looked into it, and yeah, you did it. And then you did more for me. It didn't stop there. I mean, you helped me through my mental health. You've trust, you have done so much. I can't even explain it into words.
I appreciate that. And I'm
You've
just
done
glad.
more than,
I'm glad
yeah.
it has. Yeah. Yeah.
And then all the new friends that I made too, like
Yeah.
Ember and Redheaded Trouble and Forever Atheist and Godwin. I mean, I've met more friends that have been by my side through all of this than religious people, because they haven't done anything for me.
Yeah. And thank you, NJ. You know, and that's, I guess in a way it was to help, but you know, I think it's just, it was important for me to get the information out, you know, to get like, I had the information, I finally found the information, and then it was important for me to pass that information along, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's why we all want to do these things, you know, because when I see your live, I see Redhead's Troubles live and Godwin's live, you know, that's what we're doing. We're just passing along information.
Right.
Yeah, we put our own little spin on it, but it's not like we're not telling lies. We're just reading what the Bible says, and it don't make sense. Just straight up doesn't make sense. So,
and it's wild, like the men that'll come into my life and say that, you know, I have to be silent, I can't say anything. Well, guess what? I'm going to continue fucking speaking out, because when you tell women to shut up, that's not okay. When it causes harm, you know, like religious trauma, then yeah, I will continue to speak out about it, because a lot of people have been psychologically harmed by this, not just me, but many others.
I don't know how, like women, you know, whether, you know, biological or cis, or, you know, biological, trans, or those who appear to be women to, you know, to believers, don't know how you all do it. I just don't know how you all do it. Because it's hard enough for me, but I've seen the abuse firsthand. I've seen it, and I've seen your DMs, Reckless, that you've shared. You know, Ember, the DM that you put in the fan mail. I mean, just
I get awful DMs.
Yeah, in Trouble, I can only imagine what you get. I can just imagine it.
I ignore most of them. Just at you know, kind of. It gets to a point of just it's just not, there's no point in responding, because it's just, they're just, of course,
kind of start realizing it comes with the territory.
It comes with the territory.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like if I'm going to change hearts and minds, it's going to be through my lives, and you know, and that's where it's gonna happen. Not like going back and forth between some faceless stranger, because most of the profiles too, like, are faceless, right?
Of course
they have like 10 followers. It's usually because they have like, there's such a toxic person on TikTok that they have to have like 10 different accounts, because they're constantly getting banned. And I only have one, by the way. I only have one account. I don't even have a backup account yet. So
I have an account strike on my main, and I have a backup account. It's like, yep, here we go.
Yep, I got my backup, and that's it. And just this one in my backup, and that's it. Oh, no. Actually, one that I created, like, when I first found out about TikTok, that my family was like, you should create a TikTok account, Dad. And I have no way to get into it. I forgot the password. And then And then another one that I did for a business, but then I don't use that one anymore. But yeah, I don't even log into those. But I've got this one, this main one, my backup, and those are the two that I predominantly use. But I'm not going around like doing any of that stuff. Yeah, I get really sus when, the person with like, 10 followers DMs me. Like I don't even bother responding.
Everything stays in my requests.
Yeah.
I don't even bother.
Yeah.
Sometimes I block, sometimes I don't, and I
Mhm.
just leave it because it doesn't do anything to put any of my time and attention into
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
There's
It's just a
many
waste of
things
time.
going on that it's like
Exactly.
there's so many other things for me to put my energy towards that's just not one of them.
Yeah. Well,
I had one recently that where
Mhm.
a guy just told me, he said you're a moron, but he used it in the possessive sense, the yo. Like I almost responded just to correct him on the grammar. Like who's a moron that you don't know the difference between
Right.
you're
Right.
and you are.
Right. Exactly. Actually what really dwindled them, because I used to get a lot in the beginning, but really what started dwindling them is like when I started making video posts out of them, and then seriously, I don't get them so much anymore. So apparently calling people out and putting it on blast is super helpful. So it worked for me.
Oh yeah, like the dog hate mail that I get for
Mhm.
Jezebel, and then one before Phoebe. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's so funny because when I call them out, and then they'll sit there and message me again, and then they end up blocking me. It's just like, oh, did somebody hurt you?
Yeah, right.
Like, whoops, too
Right.
bad.
You keep getting sugar daddy offers. Jeez. It's just
That too. Yep.
Hey, looks like you got an op in the chat. He
Do
says
I?
he says there's no right or wrong in an atheist worldview. That could be a great conversation.
That could be. So maybe,
Why don't you come up there, Hilnaz?
yeah, come on up and let's talk about it. And and then we can educate you that atheism isn't a worldview. Oh, guess who's here?
Jay Lunays? I don't know what his name is.
No.
Hammy's here.
Hammy is
Yay!
here. Hasn't been here in so long, and we've been
It's
missing.
story time.
It's story time. Oh my goodness, it's story time. Dun, da, da, da. Yeah, I'm on YouTube now, so I can't play any of these things because I'll get like copyright struck. So I gotta do like I'll do like an AI. I know people hate this, but I gotta figure out a way. I need like a copyright free like royalty trumpet thing for Hammy.
I'm sure there's some kind of like
I'll have to,
classical
yeah.
free
I'll have to,
thing.
yeah. I'll have to find it because it. I mean, it just adds to the whole thing, right? It looks like Hammy can't come up right now. Oh, I'm so disappointed. But okay, well, it's just so fantastic to see you, Hammy. So happy to see you. But yeah, I just don't know how you all do it. And but yeah, come on up. And okay, well, we got Bingus Law back. So real quick, let's do your announcement, Ember, and then we'll bring it back Bingus Law because I think Bingus Law fixed their audio issue.
Cool. Sounds good. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Trust But Verifies Live. I'm so happy to have you guys here. We're about to get into a conversation in a few minutes, but I just want to let you all know just some things that we have in the community. First of all, before I get into that, please, let's see. We've got 31K likes right now, which is amazing. Let's get to 50K. We can definitely do that. Let's get to 100 shares. We're at 65 right now. It's super easy to do. You can just long press on the screen. Thank you so much, Queen Laquiva. That's very, very nice of you. I'm so sorry, I got distracted. You can long press on the screen to repost, as some people are doing. You can share it individually there, which makes it easier. And yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. With things in the community, we have a Discord. I am talking to, it is distracting, Godwin. So I'm going to talk about a lot of different things. I'm sorry. So first of all, Discord, I'm doing this out of order. It's fine. It's open to everyone. We have really good conversations in there. It can get spicy in there sometimes. We do allow that, but as long as you follow the rules, like everything's copacetic. So just follow or go to Trust's link in his bio and go ahead and copy and paste that link into your browser, because it won't work if you just click the Discord link. So once it's in your browser, you should be able to join. If you can't, just let one of us mods know and we'll be happy to help. Also follow him on the other platforms. We have YTube and we have the Twi app. I need to think of another way to say that, but yes, those two, Trust But Verify 2024, go ahead and give him a follow, and you can find different membership options if you want to support him more consistently, all of that good stuff. And then let's see, things today, we do have kick poll goals. We have a few people with, I do not have the tally of who has coupons and who doesn't.
I have no idea.
That last live went nuts.
It's on the honor system right now, so.
Yeah, right. Yes. So some people will be able to drop because they sent a jellyfish or sent a super chat in the last live. A couple people have kick poll coupons as well. So we will be looking out for that. But if you do want to add to that, you can send a jellyfish here on TikTok or a super chat on YTube. If you want to drop a guest and if you want everybody to vote on it, you can go ahead and fill up the bar with the Let 'em Cooks. Thank you so much for your patience, y'all. I am so glad that everyone is here.
Yes.
Please follow everyone on the panel. Creators, they do videos. Sometimes I do videos. I'm thinking about going live again.
And you have, yes.
Yes. I have been doing some more stuff. Yeah, I know. We need to talk about the topic we want to do, but I think I'm ready soon. So
awesome.
Yes. So just follow everyone. They do lives. Obviously Trust is amazing. So just keep on hanging out, keep tapping the screen, and we are so happy to have you. Welcome to Trust But Verifies Live.
Thank you, Ember. Thank you. And more friends. Zach Lazar Hoffman's here. Good to see you, friend. Grandpa No Pivot. Saw you back on live. Was it last night or this morning? Yes, Grandpa No Pivot's back on live. Man, that's fantastic. So
happy
I
saw it this morning.
Yeah. I did. Okay, it was this morning. That's when it went. Man, my time's all messed up. Jim's. Good to see you too.
So fair.
Yeah. So just happy to see that. So very happy to see that. All right. Well, let's bring up, so we got two guests waiting. You know what? Y'all can stay up. We'll bring up Bingus Law. All right. Bring Bingus Law back. And Bingus, hopefully your sound and or Wi-Fi issues are better. Let's give it a shot.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. All right. So, let's see. If I remember, you said that you're a Muslim?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Justice for Aisha, and then you said that it's your experience that tells you that God is real. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that.
Okay. Now, how do you? Because I think I don't know if you heard my last comment before you dropped, but I was saying that every religion has an experience. So we've just validated every religion that's ever existed. So how do we differentiate?
By asking questions, I guess you would ask the same question to a Christian. You know, what do you mean by experience? How do you qualify?
Yeah.
What is rational? What is, and come to a conclusion. So
okay,
I have a good amount of evidence to suggest that the Islamic God is the creator of the universe, and that Islam is the final message from God.
Final message from God. Okay.
Yeah.
And so if the Islam God created the universe, why do we have evidence that contradicts what the Quran says? Like, for example, we know, like empirically, scientifically, that stars were created before the earth, but it doesn't say that in the Quran. It said that the sun says that the earth was created before stars.
Say that?
Yeah. So why does it say that?
No, where does it say that? Like the earth was created before the stars?
Yeah, we can go into that. All right. And if we keep going down this road, Ems is going to probably show up. So, but let me find that. It's in my notes here. I believe it's like, I want to say it's around Surah 2, somewhere like that. Let me see. Yeah, 229, Surah 229. So here, I can pull that up. And we can all read it together. Okay. We're going to have to go through a few other verses, so we'll just go to like something like that. All right. So, let me bring this up on screen, and then we can all read it together. Okay. So, when we're looking at this, so he's the one who created everything in the earth for you. Then he turned towards the heaven, forming it into 7 heavens, and he has perfect knowledge of all things. So we've got a then state. Now, I don't know Arabic. However, from a friend of mine who has been on my live several times, who is fluent in Arabic, he says that, you know, when we've got these then statements, that it is demonstrating that Allah did this in a specific order. So if we keep going, where else does it say? So, okay, let's go to another one here. I think I got the surahs wrong, but 41, 9 through 12. There it is. That's the one.
Okay, so just to respond on that.
Mm-hmm.
So the Arabic word thumma does not necessarily. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm just bringing up the.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, so the assumption there in Surah 229 is that the word thumma refers to the chronological order, which is that assumption is not correct. Because thumma in the Arabic language means then, sequence in time. It could also mean then, sequence in explanation, moreover, and furthermore. These are the 4 definitions of the word thumma.
Okay. And okay. And so when we have successive statements, when it kind of goes to then, so if we kind of go, okay, so I got the wrong one. It's actually 41. 41.9. Let's see if I can
41.9.
Yeah, 41.9 through 12. So that's where it starts, but we're looking at 41.9 through 12. See if I can find that. Yeah, there it is. Okay, I'm there. So 9, it says, ask them, O prophet, how can you disbelieve in the one who created the earth in 2 days? And how can you set up equals with him? That is the Lord of all worlds. Then 10 says, he placed on the earth firm mountains, standing high, showering his blessings upon it, and ordained all of its means for sustenance, totaling 4 days exactly for all who ask. Then he turned towards the heaven when it was still like smoke, saying to it and to the earth, submit willingly or unwillingly. They both responded, we submit willingly. So there's the then word, right? So he formed the heaven into 7 heavens in 2 days, assigning to each its mandate, and we adorned the lowest heaven with stars like lamps for beauty and for protection. So this clearly says that he created the earth first, and then he created the stars, the lamps for beauty.
So the key point there is verse 41:11. So it says he turned to the heaven while it was smoke. Okay, so it's definitely the premise here is the smoke already exists, right? Smoke is matter, so this means the heavens already existed in a primitive state. This aligns with modern cosmology. That I don't see anything wrong with that. After the Big Bang, the universe was a hot, gaseous, whatever cloud. It wasn't solid stars yet, but matter existed. So the sequence is heaven existed.
Yeah, I got
heaven
my friend's
existed.
input. Got my
then
friend M's up here,
organized.
but go ahead and finish what you were saying. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the sequence is that the heavens existed, then organized into structured heavens, then stars formed, not created from nothing after the earth.
Well, I didn't say that.
Second point,
I didn't say it wasn't created from nothing. I'm simply saying that it's created out of order from what we know scientifically. So that's my whole point. And so it says it clearly here. Yeah.
I can reference other places in the Quran. So let me get to point number 2.
Can I just quickly intercede for a second?
No, just let me finish the point. Let me finish all my points, and we can come back.
All of your points. That would be inefficient.
So thumma. Give me the definition of thumma in Arabic.
It is implies temporal.
Yeah, thumma can mean then, moreover, furthermore, and additionally. These are the 4 definitions of thumma. And the third point is that
wait, say them again.
Okay, then in terms of sequence, it could also mean moreover, it could also mean furthermore, and also mean additionally. So example, like for instance,
really
in 30,
could you give me a sentence? Give me a sentence in Arabic in which it means furthermore.
Okay, we don't have to give you a sentence. I'll give you the Quran verse. 39:6. He created you from a single soul, then made from it its mate, then sent down livestock. Right, livestock existed long before humans historically. So thumma here means explanation in sequence.
No, that is not Habib. That is not the Arabic language. This is you adding adding your interpretation and post hoc rationalization into the text. Could you show me where in the Arabic language thumma could not imply a temporal cause?
I'll give you the reference.
You didn't. You said that because now we know. You're saying because now we know that animals came before humans, and the Quran cannot be wrong. So the Quran must mean that it is that the animals came before. And it's just furthermore just giving us an explanation. But again, this doesn't apply. You have to show me where in the Arabic language thumma does not imply something happening before the other.
I mean, that's the way in lexicon.
No, that is not how lexicons and classical Arabics define thumma. Thumma is never used in a way that is not temporal. That is number 1. Number 2, if you actually read the scholarly interpretations of this verse that you're reading, what it says, وَكَانَ الدُّخَانُ, when it's referring to the samawat, it is referring to the heavens before they were separated. So the universe would be mixed with the heavens that the prophets have been to, etc. And it is described as the evaporated liquid off of the earth when it was created. So the smoke came from the evaporated water of the face of the earth. So it is created by the earth. And if you go to Ibn Kathir, Ibn Abbas, Ukruma, At-Tabari, all of them say in their tafsir that this is God describing the sequence of creation of the earth and the heavens, in which He created the earth first, and then the smoke of the heavens was created by the evaporation of water from the earth.
And it also says here in the tafsir, because I just clicked the tafsir, thank you for educating me on that, Ems. It says here plainly, Allah says that He created the earth first because it is the foundation, and the foundation should be built first, then the roof. Allah says elsewhere. And if you go furthermore down, and then that's where the 229 came in. I got it confused a little bit. He it is who created for you all that is on earth. Then He rose over, istawa ila. I probably butchered that. I apologize.
No, you didn't. You did it well.
The heaven and made them 7 heavens with regard to the ayat. So it says it clearly right here in the tafsir that He made the earth first.
Could you scroll down even more?
Yeah.
Just a second and read that too.
Are you more
I'm
difficult
giving
to
you evidence.
It is the heaven that He constructed. He raised its height. He has perfected it. It's night. He covers with darkness, and it's forenoon. He brings out with light. And after that, He spread the earth.
That's tafsir. I want to go back to the Quran. So,
Jamil, do you understand the Quran better than Ibn Abbas?
I'm giving you references from the Quran.
No, you're not. You're not. You're telling me again, Habib. You're telling me that because now we know that animals existed before humans, and the Quran says that animals.
You're not allowing the discussion
because you're simply dishonest. That is
why. Okay. So Quran 90:17. Thumma here is used for the rank, not time. So it says thumma kana min alladhina amanu. Then he was among those who believed. So classical scholars like Zamakhshari explain thumma here that indicates rank and status, not time and sequence.
Oh, really? Could you give me the page number and reference? Go ahead.
Zamakhshari. Look up Zamakhshari's explanation
which book,
on
volume,
that.
and which book, volume, and page? Go ahead.
I don't have the exact. I'll give you the author's name so you can look it up.
No, give me the reference. Go ahead.
So ثُمَّ كَانَ مِنَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. It means then he was among those who believed. There's no reference here about the actual sequence in time. It's sequence and
no,
rank.
there literally is. The word ثُمَّ itself is a reference to sequences.
Okay.
Do you even speak Arabic?
I mean,
do you even speak Arabic?
Yeah, I don't have to speak fluent Arabic.
No, you have to. No, you have to. If you're making an argument about a language you don't even speak, you have to. You're not going to educate me on my language.
ثُمَّ كَانَ مِنَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا.
ثُمَّ كَانَ مِنَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا implies a temporal chain.
No, it means so Zamakhshari, just like you gave Ibn Abbas's explanation, I'm giving you Zamakhshari's explanation.
Jamil, give me where he said that. Go ahead.
It refers to rank and status.
He says that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't have the exact.
Are you using ChatGPT, by the way?
It doesn't matter what I'm using. I'm giving.
But you are using ChatGPT because that is a hallucination.
Okay.
That is an AI hallucination.
So I can't use my references, but you're allowed to.
You can't use AI, Habib. You have to use an actual reference.
Okay. So even Ibn Kathir uses thumma. So here, I'll give you one of the example. The strongest. Here's the strongest one. 79:27, right? He built the heaven.
Wait. Let me pull up Ibn Kathir's book. 1 sec. So you said which verse?
79:27 to 30. So he says he built the heaven, then he spread the earth, right? So he elsewhere in the Quran mentions the earth creation before.
Could you give me the verse again, please?
79:27. Surah 79 is, I believe, Naziat. Yes.
And then 27.
Yes. So thumma here indicates stage of. Thumma refers to stage of preparation, not absolute origin. Okay. So Ibn Kathir says thumma here is for sequence.
Wait. I think I have the one verse. So we're on Naziat 29, right?
You say 29
27 to 30.
Right here. To 30.
Where does it say thumma?
Surah Naziat.
Where does it say thumma? The word isn't in the verse.
He built the heaven, then
you're using an AI, Habibi. Again, you're using an AI hallucination. It doesn't say thumma in Arabic.
Read all the verses.
I'm reading them again. Could you put them on the screen, actually? Could we have him read it? Scroll up. Could you show me where the word thumma is in this verse? Go ahead.
So this is 20. He's on Surah Baqarah.
No, this is Naziat.
Okay. So, أنتم أشد خلقا أم السماء بناها. Okay, next one.
Could you scroll down? Now, where's the word thumma?
ورفع سمكها فسواها.
Now scroll down.
وأغطش ليلها وأخرج ضحاها.
Now scroll down.
Next one. والأرض
بعد ذلك ضحاها. Where does it say thumma? You see, this is why we do not use AI, because it's hallucinating.
Maybe it's referencing the wrong.
No, AI is not a source, Habibi. Again, give me an actual reference. Stop using AI.
But it's not. Thumma,
it's not
again,
a source.
The whole debate here.
Thumma only ever means a temporal chain. It doesn't ever mean anything else.
Okay, so what about the one that I referenced before in?
Give me the page number and volume. Check it out.
Zamakhshari's 90.
He never said that, by the way, but yeah.
90.
Surah Balad.
What's it called? 90 what?
17.
17.
Surah Balad.
All right.
ثم كان من الذين آمنوا وتواصوا بالصبر وتواصوا بالمرحمة, right? So thumma here is not a sequential thumma. It's a thumma in rank. Thumma kana min.
Really, what does thumma in rank mean? What does that even mean?
Thumma kana
not a thing in
min
Arabic.
Okay.
thumma in rank is not a thing.
Thumma kana min alladhina amanu.
Jamil. Thumma kana min alladhina amanu. And then he was from those who believed. Now what? There is no such thing as a thumma in rank.
Yeah, that's what exactly it was referencing to. Is
that is not a thing in the language.
It is.
Oh,
It
really?
is.
Teach me my
You are
language,
you?
please. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, you're just taking apart just few references from here and there. Like I don't accept your understanding of what thumma means.
You don't.
It is not a
What?
sequential thumma.
What? Habibi, what?
Well, hold on. Bingus, are you saying that a native Arabic speaker doesn't understand this?
Yeah, I've
usage
spoken
of,
to this guy before. He misquotes the Quran. He is.
Oh, really?
He's not a native.
Really? Really?
Yes.
Prove that. Go ahead, you liar. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So when you were on
Prove that
with
you
the other
liar.
guy with the beard, what's his name? Nick, not Nick. The guy with the beard, the truck driver.
just the truck driver.
What?
Yeah, I forgot his name. But
Are you talking about Justin? He's not a truck driver.
Not Justin.
Then who?
Eric. Yes.
Eric. Okay.
So I cooked you so many times on it.
Really? On what?
Giving the wrong interpretation of the Quran.
Really?
You're baking your own understanding into it.
Sure, and I've seen you before piss on the picture of the Prophet. So, now what?
What's that?
And I've seen you before piss on a picture of the Prophet. Now what?
This is how
we can just make up shit as we like.
Okay,
because you're saying I misquoted the Quran.
You asked me if I don't trust you as a source for
I don't trust
Islam.
your existence, Habib.
You have no authority on the Quranic.
I'm not quoting myself. I'm quoting the scholars. But sure.
You're
he's not claiming to be an authority. He's just correcting information.
Yeah, I mean, we know there are many Arab Christians and Arab atheists and that wrongly interpret the Quran, just like ISIS does, right? So they're literalists. So they take the Quran out of context, and they bake their own meaning into it.
Really?
Because whatever the world you want to promote.
I'm sure the Prophet is equally as Ibn Abbas.
You know what that means?
MashaAllah, he uses it to guide people and he uses it to deceive people.
Yes. No, he's not going to use it. People will be deceived based on what your intentionality is.
Is saying that he's using it to guide people and to deceive people.
It's the same thing. Like if your
it is not the same thing. Can you stop butchering my language, please?
If your heart is corrupt, you will bake your own interpretation of what you want to read. Yeah, it's called confirmation bias. You can take verses out of context. I can take the Old Testament out of context.
Could you give me the context?
I can take the Old Testament or any book.
Could you give me the context then? Go ahead.
Well, how about this?
How about
Bingus?
And stop using AI.
Bingus, how about you just because your claim is that Ems is taking it out of context and that you caught him doing this. So can you give us a chapter and verse of what he did, and then we can go over that again?
Yeah,
so
I gave him the reference. It doesn't reference thumma in a sequential.
I know it does. It does. You just do not know. You do not understand the language. So again, though.
Okay, but
it means thereafter or moreover.
Okay, but Bingus, are you a native Arabic speaker?
No, I know a little bit of Arabic.
You know a little bit of Arabic. Okay,
yes,
but you're not a native Arabic speaker. And you're trying to tell no, you're not. And you're trying to tell a native Arabic speaker how to speak his language.
Yeah, but he's also an ex-Muslim. Like he's a murtad. Why can't?
Really?
I don't know why
that changes the language.
I don't trust him. I don't trust his
host. As soon as you left Christianity, you stopped speaking English.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what you're saying. Is that I just ceased understanding English because I left Christianity and I don't believe the Bible anymore. So now I don't understand English. I mean, that's kind of what you're saying. You're saying that Ems no longer understands Arabic because he's no longer a Muslim. That's a non sequitur. It doesn't follow. You don't just lose your fluency in a language just because you don't believe in a religion that the language is, written in. That this doesn't make a lot of sense. That would just be like, I guess, Jews who no longer believe in the Torah, they just stop believing. They just no longer understand Hebrew.
And additionally, I'm referencing the Prophet and his companions. I'm not referencing myself.
Yeah, I gave you Zamakhshari's reference. You don't want to accept.
I know you didn't. You're just a liar.
Okay. Do you know who Zamakhshari was? Okay.
Jamil, give me the volume and the page number. Give me the volume and the page number. Go ahead.
Yeah, we'll just look at the volume and page number.
How much time do you have? I can look it up.
You got about 8 minutes and 50 seconds. Yeah. So
if you have 8 minutes for me, to actually look up Zamakhshari's actual book.
It's
Jamil, go ahead.
it's the one that you claim that M's misquoted that you quote unquote.
No, he's quoting. He used ChatGPT and asked it, give me sources of scholars who said Tumma doesn't mean temporal.
Okay.
And then it told him Jamakhsari said in so and so, or I don't even know if it gave him a reference. And then he just ran with it without verifying it. As in the same way that it gave him verses in the Quran and said Tumma is used in this context in Surah Al-Ghashiyat, in which the word wasn't even used.
Well,
Again, AI hallucinate.
Yeah, but and then that doesn't make a lot of sense either, because, you know, like in English, we have words that have double meanings to them depending on how you use them. But that doesn't mean that just because you use it in one way, in one sense, that it doesn't mean it exactly the same in a different sense, in a different sentence. So, I mean, according to 41.9, and it says by the scholars in the tafsirs that he created the earth first. I'm just at a loss of, Ems is just really, he's backing up what the scholars say.
Here's I found the reference here. It's
So what I said.
Al-Kash. Yeah, because I was looking. You asked me to look for the reference.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But
okay, it's the book is called Al-Kashaf by Mahmoud ibn Umar al-Zamakhshari, who lived 538 AH. His understanding of the verse Thumma refers to rank, not sequence.
The volume and page number, go ahead.
Okay. Volume 4, page 761.
4, page 761. Am I going to be able to find this online?
Commentary on Surah Balad, 9017.
Okay, so commentary on...
And it's Dar al-Kutub al-Ilmiya edition.
Yeah, no way I'm going to spell that, but I'll do my best. So, no,
what he's saying is Thumma does not mean chronological delay here. It means rhetorical or rank-based sequencing. Faith is logically prior.
You said page what? You said page what?
Yeah, say the page again, because I'll try to bring it up.
It's 761, volume 4.
Volume 4, page 761. Let's see if it comes up. Maybe it will.
There's other classical scholars like Imam al-Baydawi in his...
You said 761?
Yeah, he said 761.
761, yeah.
I don't think we'll be able to find it this way, but...
And also, Tafsir al-Baydawi has the same understanding. Thumma here indicates delay.
Could you put me on the screen? Because again, I'm going to show you why you shouldn't use AI again. Because this is just embarrassing.
Yeah, you're up on
this is humiliating, actually. Page 761. Could you tell me how this is talking about Surah Al-Balad? Go ahead.
Is this volume 4? Can you zoom in?
Zoom into what?
This is not 761. It says 29 at the bottom.
That is not 29. That is 69.
Yeah, 69.
Volume 4 does not have 700 pages. The book itself, this is page 761 in the book. Volume 4 does not have 700 pages.
Can you scroll up all the way?
Yeah, sure.
So Imam al-Baydawi has the same understanding. Thumma here indicates delay in rank.
No, this is the AI hallucinating to you, but sure.
You can't see this on YouTube, but Ems has the entire page up that the guest is talking about. Or he's about to. And Jay Linnaeus, you said in the atheist worldview. So, atheist would be an adjective, and worldview. It's an adjective for worldview. So you didn't say, I said atheists have a worldview. So stop lying. You're a liar. Why can't just believers just be honest? God, you're just starting this off on the wrong foot. You may have meant atheists have a worldview, but see, the thing is also atheists have many worldviews. So you assume that we have one worldview, that we're just a monolith. So you're wrong either way. Either you're full of shit or you're wrong. But you're up next.
My site is lagging. Give me a second.
Okay, no worries. We only have a few minutes left, but we have about, 3 minutes and 29 seconds left. So
You can just Google the PDF, the English version of the PDF, and it's 852 pages, by the way. So he was lying that there aren't that many pages.
I misunderstood, but one second.
Yeah, there's 852 pages on there.
because honesty is detrimental to their faith. There you go, both sidesing. And if you haven't gifted and followed Ems, please do. Lying is okay if you're lying for God, apparently. Yeah.
The site is buffering for me. If you have the translation, just put it on the screen for you. Like on your end.
On my end?
Bingus, he said he has it.
Oh, Bingus?
So just put it on the screen.
I'll enlarge you, Bingus, if you got it. If you can put it on your screen. Man, don't make Jay-Lunays, don't make me go back through the chat. Don't make me do it. I'm petty enough to do it. I will go back through the chat and find your post. Actually, you didn't apologize, so that's another lie. Oh, wait, maybe I'm wrong about that. See, I can admit when I'm wrong. Okay, so now you're blaming it on grammar. Okay, yeah, you did. You're sorry about the grammar. Yeah, it wasn't a grammar. So you're going to have to tell us which atheist worldview you're talking about, because you've got idealism, realism, eternal worldviews. You've got solipsism, Platonism, naturalism, materialism, physical. I mean, these are just all off the top of my head. So which worldview are you talking about? I guess we'll just find out when you come up. But it doesn't look like we'll get this piece resolved in time. So you'll get your chance. And then you get to guess which worldview I have. And then why yours defeats my worldview. All right. So it looks like we're running out of a bit of a time. Okay, well, they've run out of time.
I found it. Yeah, just give me a second.
It? Okay,
just
all right, go ahead. Go ahead. All right, we'll extend it. And we'll give you extra time, Jay-Lunays. Secular atheist worldview. Yeah, which one is that, though? There's so many.
How could you, Bingus, come back again? Yeah, just again to... Do you see could you read the bottom of this? Bingus, one sec.
Your screen isn't up yet, but you probably know
Bingus, could you read the bottom of this?
It's black for me.
It's black for you.
Yeah, let me shrink you and then re-expand you. It might reset it. So go ahead and oh, yep. It's gonna expand. I think we're gonna get it.
Could you read the bottom of this?
Yep. There it is. All right. You back with us, Bingus? Bingus is on mute. It's self-muted.
Well, to explain to everybody, this is volume 4 of Al-Kashaf. You can see at the bottom الجزء الرابع. If you go to the last page of the book, the last page, before you start volume, the last page is 590. It doesn't have 761 pages.
Oh, it doesn't have
as I said.
761.
So stop using AI. This is embarrassing.
Okay, that's what it is. All right. Well, I think we've resolved that for now. But Bingus is out of time, so I'm gonna put a stop to this, and we'll move on. But Ems, man, it's always Ems is on call today. Just so you all know, Ems is making rounds. He's walking the hospital floor making rounds. So glad I got your pager number, my friend.
Of course. I'm going to be dropping.
Okay, sounds good, Ems. See ya. Thank you, doctor. All right. So Bingus, yeah, we're gonna out of time. We're gonna move on to the next guest, but if you want to come back and if you've got anything more about 761, you can do that, and we can bring Ems back and we can continue on. But I'm gonna drop you for now. So I think maybe his Wi-Fi may have gone awry. Okay, and we have story time. So Jay Lenae's, hang in there. We got a quick story time to do. It's going to be a short reading, relatively short, but it's been so long. And this is law in this live. The chat voted on it, and it is legislated. Hammy, welcome back, my friend. It is so good to see you.
Howdy. It is great to see everyone again.
And I just want to say I apologize. Because of copyright restrictions, I can't play your music. However, I'm going to have some royalty-free music for you. That's going to be like amazing. So it's going to be worthy of your title and
the funniest thing is what I'm about to read, it would be fitting to have that type of music, which is very, very sad.
Yeah, it is.
This here is something that I want to read, and the great Sir Ian McGeller has read this, and I will not do it justice if you're comparing me to him. So please, for the love of God and all things holy and unholy and everything like that, do not compare this reading to Sir Ian McGeller. Please don't. He is goated at this. So please, that being said, I shall read. This is from Scene 4 of Sir Thomas More. You'll put down strangers. Grant them removed, and grant that this your noise hath chid down all the majesty of England. Imagine that you see the wretched strangers, their babies at their backs and their poor luggage, plodding to the ports and coasts for transportation, and that you sit as kings in your desires, authority quite silent by your brawl, and you in ruff of your opinions clothed. What hath you got? I'll tell you. You had taught how insolence and strong hands should prevail, how order should be quelled, and by this pattern not one of you should live an aged man for other ruffians, as their fancies wrought, with self-same hand, self-reasons, and self-right, would shock on you, and men like ravenous fishes would feed on one another. Say now the king, as he is clement in if the offender mourn, should so much come too short of your great trespass as but to banish you, whither would you go? What country, by the nature of your error, should give you harbor? Go you to France or Flanders, to any German province, to Spain or Portugal, nay, anywhere that not adheres to England, why, you must needs be strangers. Would you be pleased to find a nation of such barbarous temper, that breaking out in hideous violence would not afford you an abode on earth? Whet their detested knives against your throats, spurn you like dogs, and like as if that God owned not, nor made not you, nor that the elements were not all appropriate to your comforts, but chartered unto them. What would you think to be thus used? This is a stranger's case, and this your mountainish inhumanity.
Oh,
That is written by William Shakespeare 517 years ago. And this, if you didn't catch it because of the English being used, this is about immigration. This is solely about immigration.
So apropos.
It says right here, what is the stranger's case monologue? The riot that the play references, because in the play there's a riot, took place on May 1st, 1517, and is referred to as Evil May Day. Thomas More, the then under-sheriff of London, was sent to calm the rioters and persuade them to go home. According to the chronicler Edward Hall, a fortnight before the riot, an inflammatory, xenophobic speech was made on Easter Tuesday by a preacher known as Dr. Bell at St. Paul's Cross at the instigation of John Lincoln, a broker. Bell accused immigrants of stealing jobs from English workers and of eating the bread from poor fatherless children. This is the same shit we've been dealing with today. So I thought it was kind of apropos to read from that.
Very much so. Very well done. Thank you so much. And just want to let you know, you got a very high comment from Seven Lemons.
What did Seven?
In the chat, Seven Lemons said, Truss, how did you get Ian McKellen to come on the live?
No. Ian McKellen is if there was any god of anything, Ian McKellen is that god. All right, he is the god of speaking in this, and he did it all. I watched him do it all from fucking memory, and it's like, God, I would never be able to do that off of memory alone. Never.
Well, still well done. Well done.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. I appreciate it. And we will have your music back the next time you're here. Promise.
That would be amazing.
Oh, yes, it would. You are absolutely right. And everybody, gift Hammy. Send some, shower Hammy with some love, some follows, some gifts, whatever you feel appropriate, because definitely deserves it after that showing. Thank you so much. And to those who didn't know what the fuck is going on, we decreed, the chat voted months ago that whenever Hammy enters this live, he is to read something. He's to read an excerpt. And so it's law now. It was a referendum, and we voted on it. And it was overwhelmingly in favor, and it passed. So here we are. It's by the people, for the people. Totally agree, Nerd Unleashed. Hammy is pretty great. It has been decreed. It has. It's a law.
It has been decreed. It is in the law books of the trust but verified laws and regulations for the channel.
There it is. There it is. And it's recorded. It's on a video somewhere. I don't know when the hell we did it, but it's recorded.
Oh my gosh, that would be way too much to just try to be like, okay, I'm going to go look through the literal months worth of freaking of recording time, like just recording time.
Yeah,
months worth. And to find this one tiny snippet from this one tiny video that had nothing to do about that beforehand.
Absolutely nothing to do with it. But I bet you somebody will do it one of these days. Somebody will do it. So
somebody's out there right now is like, you know what? Say less. I'm on it.
Exactly. Say less. Oh, Hammy, love you, man. You're welcome to stay up if you'd like. I'm going to bring up the next guest, or you can drop down. I'll let you decide.
I can stay up for a little bit longer.
All right then. Well, let's bring up our next guest, Jay Lunays. How's it going?
Hey, it's going good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Appreciate you coming up.
I don't particularly think that my statements are all that controversial. I think consistent with most of today's, atheist culture, generally speaking, like your Dawkins and your Sam Harris, and, generally, like, I listen to a lot of these guys talk. They're really smart guys, but they all generally agree that, you know, at the core of morality is subjective. I mean, is that not correct?
Not for me.
Is that not what you believe?
I'm an objective moral realist.
And to what do you appeal to for authority on what is objectively right and wrong?
Not an authority. It's a foundation, and the foundation is the laws of logic. And the pillars that we use for the foundation are freedom and well-being. So another word for freedom is free will. That's another phrase for it. So you do believe in free will, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I just you call it freedom, free will. I call it freedom. Same thing. They're interchangeable to me. And you think that we inherently have a right to that? Like,
well,
we're
what's a
born with
right?
it, right? We're born with it, right?
You know what I mean? Like, I think that, you know, if you want to talk about what rights are, I mean, that's a very good conversation in of itself. But I guess I would digress just so that I can dial in on my bigger point. You have a worldview that you claim is objective. You claim it's objective, right?
It is
Like, that's your
objective.
claim.
Yeah.
But that's your claim.
Yep.
So subjectively, your claim is that it is objective, but you don't actually have anything to defer to. It's just your claim.
Yeah, the laws of logic.
Yeah,
Are
that's
you
your
telling me?
claim.
Are you telling me the laws of logic are subjective?
Absolutely.
They are. In what way?
Yes.
What are the laws of logic?
No, you have to tell me. I'm not making that claim.
Okay, you
I'm
don't
not
know what
claiming that the laws of logic underpin anything.
No, it was your claim. It was your claim that the laws of logic are subjective. So I'll get to my point, and I'll demonstrate that it is objective.
Because everything is subjective.
Oh, I need you to tell me what about the laws of logic are subjective.
Because it comes from the individual. It comes from the personal mind. Because that's where everything originates, is from the mind.
How so? Just tell me how so. Tell me how the laws of logic originate from an individual.
You think, therefore you are. I mean, it's that simple, right?
That's not the laws of logic. That's not the laws of logic.
Okay, then go ahead and controvert me. I mean, tell me what you believe.
Okay, well, first I need to know, what are the laws of logic? What do you think they are?
Well, this is your claim, so you should probably know the answer to that.
All right. So we're kind of on a dishonest stance here.
No, we're not. We're not.
Okay.
We're not
well, then tell me.
at all.
Okay. Well, then define the laws of logic then, and then we can. So we're on the same page.
The objectivism has to come from a higher authority than a human being.
Yeah, I'm not talking about objectivism. I'm asking you, what are the laws of logic? Let's not dodge the question.
I don't need to tell. I don't need to tell you.
No, it's your claim. You said the laws of logic are subjective, and if you don't know what the fuck they are, how can you tell me that they're subjective?
Right. What I find to be logical. Tell me
what the laws of logic are.
What I find to be logical, you may find to be illogical. Is that fair?
You're still dodging my question. That's another dodge.
No,
so I'm asking you. I'm going to keep asking you, what are the laws of logic? What are they?
This is not the point of my claim, though. You're redirecting the conversation.
We're dodging again.
Hold on, because you're not getting this. So he's not saying what is logical for you in like a colloquial sense of you see the grass grow and you think, well, that's due to something, all right? That's what he's talking about. He's talking about the actual laws of logic, that it's grounded in those laws of logic. And so he's asking you, what are those laws?
There's 3 of them. So I just need you to tell me what they are.
All right. You want me to look it up? Because I don't know the answer.
Oh, okay. You don't know what they are. So how can you tell me that they're subjective if you don't know what they are?
Because everything is subjective. So
everything is
subjective
exempt
from that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is God subjective? Is God's morality subjective?
To the individual.
To the individual.
Right? Like if I believe in the Christian God, or if, say, this other gentleman that you had on your show a moment ago believes in the Muslim God, do we not have subjective differences in our beliefs?
You know what? From a theist standpoint, I actually agree with you on that. I believe that it is relative. But I'm going to demonstrate to you that it is objective. And so I'm just glad you told me that you don't know what they are. So I'll tell you what they are. So it's the law of identity, law of non-contradiction, and the law of excluded middle. So now that you know what they are, I need you now to explain to me how these are subjective.
Well, identity is certainly a subjective, right?
How is that?
But because one can determine their own identity. I mean, that's obvious.
That's not what the law of identity means.
Okay.
Do you know what each of these mean?
Well, I'm familiar with the law of non-contradiction because I ascribe to the law of non-contradiction.
Okay.
Right, so,
as far
do you know
as,
what the law of identity means? Here,
something
I'll
is
take
what
the
it
guesswork.
is.
I'll take the guesswork.
Are you saying that it's something is what it is?
Something like that. Basically, that the law of identity is that A is always going to be A. A is A. There's no world, no possible world, where A cannot equal A.
Okay.
Right.
Fair.
So
right.
that is the law of identity.
All right. I can get down with that.
The law of non-contradiction is that if you can have A equaling A, you can have A equaling B, right? But you cannot, you can have A equaling A and A equaling not A, but you can't have those two things at the same time. So, for instance, I cannot be wet and dry at the same time, right?
Sure. I completely agree with that.
Yeah. So that's the, law of non-contradiction.
Okay.
The law of excluded middle, meaning that if we have A equals A and B equals B, there's no middle ground where A equals B and B equals A, right? It's the excluded middle. There's nothing in the middle there. There's no way possible that there could be something in there in any possible world whatsoever.
Okay. That's fair.
Okay.
I think those are all on. Okay. So we can agree on all three of those things.
Okay. So now that you know that we've explained these to you, so can you tell me, because it was your claim that the laws of logic are subjective. So now can you explain to me how they're subjective?
So I guess the first thing that I would say is that we cannot know what it is to be A, right? Like, so if A is A, what is it to be A, right? Like if a cat or a dog, or is a dog or a cat, as a tree is a tree, what is it to be a tree?
What this is these are describing the characteristics. Like, so A is equal to A because A has the characteristics of A. So for instance, in your tree, we know a tree is a tree because it has the characteristics that we describe as being a tree, right? It has leaves, it has branches.
Let's say a house, right? A house made of trees. Is a house a tree because it's made of trees?
Because what you're conflating is you're conflating designation with identity.
I'm not trying to be difficult. Okay?
I understand.
I'm
I see that. I see this. What we're trying to explain it to you. We're trying to help you. So this is conflating designation with identity. Those are two different terms. And Hammond, correct me when I'm wrong. So just jump in and correct me. But this is a category error. So when you're saying is a house a tree because a tree is made out of, or a house is made out of trees, that's a category error. A tree has specific characteristics, as Hammy was trying to point out, and a house has specific characteristics, right? A house has rooms, a house has maybe a toilet, a house has a living room, a bathroom, a kitchen, those type of things, right? So a tree doesn't have any of those things. A tree has leaves, it's got rings, it's got branches, it's got bark, it's got roots, right?
So the laws here then are basically they're defining reality.
Exactly. It's for defining reality. That's exactly right.
Okay.
You got it.
All right.
So
we agree that. So I guess in that sense, then the laws of logic are intentionally supposed to be non-subjective.
They're
supposed to provide. They're supposed to be objective. They're supposed to be
objective. Meaning that they're mind independent. So like Amy was saying, A is always going to equal A, right?
Unless we're going to go down the route of nihilism and stuff like that.
You can certainly make,
which is a different worldview.
Certainly make the argument that if there's not a mind to, like, if the universe existed absent a conscious mind does the universe
Well,
actually exist?
well, the thing is like, so there's several different schools of thoughts on this, right? And so, like, for instance, there are certain schools of thought where they believe that nothing can be known for certain at all, like nothing at all. Like
Right.
like even like the things that we hold to be like objectively true, such as these laws of logic.
Right.
There are people who say that they wouldn't even necessarily think that those are objective, and the only reason why they say that is because, again, they don't think like objectivity is something that is known at all,
It's relativism.
and we don't know it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Right. I get that. And
That's
that
one
seems
world
I
to
personally
be-
don't hold to it.
So I guess, all right. So that all that said, I can agree with you on the laws of logic. Now, my earlier point was that when that you're in your appeal to define objectivity, which I find to be good, I think it's correct. The issue that I have is that if someone else out there doesn't necessarily agree with you, and they become more powerful than you, and they destroy you, and they remove the laws of logic.
They can't remove the laws of logic. They're foundational to
R-
reality. That's the whole point of
Right,
it.
but
They can't.
right, but I mean,
just because they're more powerful, they can't suddenly declare that A equals B. That just
but
defies.
that's what we live in, right?
That's
I mean, don't we
defi-
live that reality
Yeah,
on
but
some
it
level?
doesn't-
You remember
that may be somebody else's
1984?
reality, but that doesn't matter. Yeah, I understand where you're going with this. Yeah, because
Yeah.
1984 was part of what 1984 was about, is that they were redefining reality, right?
Oh, 1984.
Yeah.
I love this topic because I
Yeah.
actually, the funniest thing is that I got really big into this because on Twitter, the hellscape, there were so many people who misunderstand 1984 to the point
Exactly.
that everything that they just
Oh,
dislike
both sides.
becomes
Yeah.
Orwellian.
Mhm.
And so, like, bringing up 1984 is actually very interesting because the thing is in that novel, it's just like Trust said, like, the government, Big Brother, is rewriting the reality as far as saying, like, they are controlling everything, and they said, hey, actually, this is false, and the only way for you to say no, it's not, it's true, is you end up getting sent back to basically the brainwashing station, or they just unalive you. So eventually, you just keep saying, "Yep, what Big Brother said is true, so it's true. What Big Brother says is false, because it's either you go back to the brainwashing, or you get unalived, which neither one are great cases." And it was. And it's a very big takedown on a lot of different socioeconomic stuff that I'm not going to get into because that's not what this is about.
Yeah. So essentially, the thing about objectivity, guest, is that when we say it's mind independent, just because somebody says it's what it is doesn't make what they say true. And it's not about consensus or who has more might. Like that's the same thing as saying, if the strongest kid, who's also the dumbest kid in class, says 2 + 2 = 5, that doesn't make 2 + 2 = 5. Just because they're the strongest and they can beat everybody up, that doesn't mean that 2 + 2 = 5, right? It's objectively true that 2 + 2 = 4. And so when I base my morality on the laws of logic, it is independent of any mind. It is mind independent. Just like 2 + 2 = 4.
Okay, so we can agree on all of that. Let me ask you a more gray area question, right? Like, for example, and I don't mean to get confrontational with anybody who I'm not going to ascribe one way or the other on this belief system, but like, let's take the subject of abortion, right? It's obviously, charged. But there's the argument over abortion seems to fall on at what point in the gestation process or post-gestation process does a life become a life?
Yep.
Right?
No, actually, that's actually a misnomer done by a specific group of people to
What would you
intentionally
say
muddy
is
the water.
what
The
would you say
actual
it is?
the actual argument about this is a philosophical one, and it's when do we grant something personhood? Personhood and life are two totally different things.
Agency and sentience.
Most people,
Okay, we'll say personhood. I like that. Let's go with
yeah,
that.
personhood is granted. Like we take away, we give things that have personhood that never had personhood to begin, just because they're sentient. Such as a lot of people think that their dogs are their children, and this is granting that dog personhood, even though it's not an actual person, right? And then on top of that, we also grant, we take away personhood from people. Like, so for instance, and I live in the state of Texas. In Texas, we still have the unalivement penalty. And we take away that person's personhood when we say, hey, guess what? You've done something so heinous, you are going to go and be unalived for it, right?
You can probably make the argument that you're taking a person's personhood away by locking them up in the first place.
One could argue that, but the thing is that whenever it comes to this specific topic, when it comes to ABs, it's about we try to find a way on where to grant personhood. One side says, oh well, it's a life, so we should grant it all the way at conception, and that's a route you can take. But in that case, if a mother doesn't know that, or a soon-to-be mother doesn't know that she's pregnant and she accidentally miscarries, are you then going to charge her for murder? Because she, like, it's literally her body unaliving this living being. So are we going to now charge her with murder?
Well, so
in which case,
you're, without getting into the weeds on it, right? Like my point was that it's going to be difficult just within the laws of logic to ascertain.
As a matter of fact, I can give you a logical layout, but you know what? This is Trust show. I'm gonna let Trust do it.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
And you should, and it should also be noted that, like, Hammy, I'm pretty sure you're a subjective moralist, right, Hammy? So we're going to be slightly on the opposite sides of the coin on this.
So, yeah, I mean, I haven't really dug too terribly deep into my.
I thought we talked about it before. Might have been somebody else.
I probably do land somewhere around that spectrum.
Yeah. And so from my perspective, from my worldview, since we're talking about my worldview, from my worldview, it comes down to freedom and well-being. And so we've already I established in the beginning of our conversation that freedom is inherent. And it is an entitlement that we have. Because as a theist, the theist would also agree. I mean, if you just exchange freedom and free will, they're essentially the same thing. You can just say, well, the theist agrees that, freedom is an entitlement. It is simply by existing, you are granted freedom. And it's the same with well-being. And if you examine that closely, what we hold is that moral agents are entitled to freedom and well-being. That is like across the board, across every moral philosophical take. It is consensus. It is agreement. Okay. And the easy test for that, guest, is to ask yourself when is it appropriate to remove a moral agent's freedom and well-being? And so now I'm asking.
Well, that's a great question. I mean,
when is it appropriate?
That is the question, right?
Mm-hmm. So what's your answer? Yeah.
Oh gosh. I mean,
because I can tell you, essentially, I can tell you one situation.
I would say that the reason that this is such a, just speaking, since we're on the topic of the abortion thing, I think the reason why this seems to be such a charged subject is that, again, it goes to agency or personhood, right? And
it's moral, the question, it's agency and sentience. Yeah.
The question is, does a fetus have agency, and and I can see, I mean, you might feel that way, but I can see both sides on that.
Okay.
Like I can see the argument both
Real
ways.
quick before we continue on with the agency, can I ask you when are most ABs performed?
I think they're within the first 10 weeks, maybe 15. I know that Europe, I think Europe's laws are actually a little more stringent than America's when it comes to abortion.
Normally, like even if we went like past the overturning of Roe v. Wade, right? You're correct. It's usually somewhere in between the first 10,
first trimester,
maybe 15 weeks, right? Yeah, it's within the first trimester.
Right.
And anything after that, it's usually due to other complications that tend to occur. Do you know when the central nervous system is actually developed in the fetus?
I'm pretty sure. I'd be lying if I said I did. I don't.
Oh, that's not a problem.
Isn't it?
Like it's around 22 weeks. Yeah. So this is a point in time whenever the fetus that is growing doesn't feel anything, right? It doesn't feel nothing. It doesn't have any kind of way to memorize it because it doesn't have a brain. It doesn't have any. It doesn't have any of that stuff yet, right? So this is literally. I hate to use it, but it's kind of apt. It's literally like taking out. Like people, you always hear the clump of cells type of thing. It's like literally taking that out of the body, right? It's because it's nothing at this point in time. It doesn't even look anywhere close to being like, like you see the pictures of the different stages and whatnot. It doesn't even have that form yet, right? It's not even any of that.
Again, I mean, I feel you. I'm following your point. Yeah, for sure. And I'm not.
So
I guess more broadly, like what we have here is, the host. And I apologize. What do you go by,
Trust.
Mr. Host? What's your
Trust? You can call me Trust. Yeah. What can I call you?
You can call me Jay.
Okay,
that
Jay.
works.
Okay, that works. I can do that. I'm with you, V.
I guess there are a lot of, let me just back off of abortion just for a minute. There are, situationally speaking, and I think that honestly, if there were, an atheist, and I have friends who are atheists. I'm not an atheist, just for the record, but I have a lot of these conversations, obviously, because they are friends of mine and I respect them. But I would say that, there definitely comes a point where, I would say of all of the atheistic quote worldviews, that the moral objectivism that you subscribe to, trust, or that you spoke about is probably the closest akin to my belief, right? As someone who's not an atheist. And I've read a lot of, there's this thing called the New Atheist Project. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
No.
But there's a number of people online now that are, that promote this idea, and it's mostly one of objectivism. Like that's where they speak from, that place. But it seems to still be, the minority of atheists. Now, my point, I guess, at the end of the day was that earlier when I said, that right and wrong, while we can agree that the laws of logic are all true, none of the laws of logic determine right or wrong. They determine reality, right? So if I kill you, you are dead and I have killed you. But who's to say that was wrong? What if you were trying to kill me?
Well,
you know what I mean?
And I keep trying to get to the end game here. I'm trying to get to the end of the story. Yeah.
That's where I'm trying to go to.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to kind of fast forward a little bit.
Oh, I know. And we're taking, we did a couple of side streets that were important. So, so I'm almost there. I'm almost at that point. So when I say that freedom and well-being are the pillars of the foundation of the laws of logic, the important parts of this are also moral agency and sentience. Okay. So moral agents are those who can make moral decisions and take moral responsibility for their actions. And so under that definition, fetuses are not considered moral agents. And also infants aren't considered moral agents, nor are children, nor are people with like mental disabilities, physical disabilities, etc. Well, physical disabilities are a bit different. If they're of sound mind, they can make moral decisions. But what we do as a society, in almost every society, is we protect those people. Okay, we protect infants, we protect people with Alzheimer's, people with mental disabilities, things of that sort. And so for the most part, they can't take moral responsibility for their moral decisions, right? But like people like yourself, me, Hammy, Reckless Religion, we have full moral agency because we can take full responsibility for our moral decisions. So we enjoy the most freedom and well-being. We restrict other people's, and that's why I asked you before, when is it appropriate to restrict someone's freedom and well-being? And I can tell you the situations in which it is appropriate. It is to protect those who don't have full moral agency, and it is to correct and punish those who have taken other people's freedom and well-being. So like we put people in prison, we restrict their freedom, okay, but we don't necessarily take away their well-being. We still give them food, we still give them clothing, we still give them a bed to sleep on, things of that sort. We still give them their basic needs that they need to live and survive. But we take away their freedom because it's meant to keep it keeps society safe, and also it's meant as a corrective action. Okay, so those are the two situations. So
got it.
So when we remove somebody's so you and I and Hammy and Reckless, all of us have the utmost freedom and well-being. And what that means is, let's just imagine that we're all living in a neighborhood, right? And we all have 1 acre of property. So we live in a community where each of us has 1 acre of property. And Reckless Religion decides one day that in order to exercise her freedom and well-being, she needs 2 acres of land, right? Now, there is, under objective moral realism, it would be morally right for her to say, if Hammy is her next door neighbor, is to approach Hammy and say, hey, Hammy, I would like to buy your property from you. What kind of offer can I make you? And make him a fair offer. That would be the morally right thing to do because she's exercising her freedom and well-being. She feels that she needs 2 acres and she's going to compensate Hammy appropriately. Now it would, and you would probably agree with this, it would be the morally wrong thing to do under my framework if she were to say, make loud noise at all hours of the day or night to force Hammy to move and then buy his property at a discount. That would be immoral. To unalive Hammy. Yeah. To unalive
Hey,
him.
Hammy, why don't you come over here to my totally not torture room?
Yeah, totally not torture room. And then disappear him, right? To, force him to move, to disappear him, or trick him into say, hey, you know what, you got a bad rat problem on your property. And, maybe unleash rats on his property and forces him to sell his house. And then she buys it at a discount. Those will all be immoral things. And the reason why
I wouldn't even unleash rats on my own property.
And the only reason it's immoral is because Reckless Religion is saying I am entitled to freedom and well-being, while at the same time I am infringing upon Hammy's freedom and well-being. And the reason why it's immoral under my framework is because it violates the law of non-contradiction, which is the law of logic number 2. It's a contradiction for her to say I am entitled to freedom and well-being, while at the same time an equal moral agent is not entitled to freedom and well-being. See, does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So when we look at things like abortion, I'm going to bring it all the way back to abortion. When we look at something like abortion, we look at it from that lens, freedom and well-being. And we look at it from moral agents, since infants, especially when they don't have any sentience, they don't have a mind, they have no freedom and well-being. They are not sentient beings, and we don't base it on potential. What we base it on is they're not even a person yet. So it is not immoral for a woman to exercise her bodily autonomy when there is no agent inside of her, to prioritize the fetus inside of her that doesn't have a mind, can't think, can't feel, over the woman's bodily autonomy and her life. That's immoral. So I regard laws like the state of Texas to be immoral, and because they are infringing upon somebody else's freedom and well-being objectively.
Well, let me ask a question.
Yep.
You mentioned earlier that you don't consider potential in the calculus, like what is right. So for someone who
with exceptions, there are exceptions to that.
So
but in terms of when it comes down, now if we're strictly talking about abortion, then no. However, because if however, let's just say this woman is pregnant, okay? Even if she doesn't know she's pregnant and somebody unalives her, which in turn makes the fetus invalid.
Right.
I think that might be the wrong term, but yeah, fetus isn't going to survive. In that case,
right.
Yes, that person has unalived two people.
Dual homicide, right.
It's a dual homicide. Because then you consider potential. Yes.
So would you, okay, now I can sympathize with that.
Thank you, 3 pips, not viable. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Like, I also, because of my own personal worldview, I can also sympathize and do sympathize with the potential as well. And so I do see where you're coming from on this. And that's why for most of, my life as someone who would probably describe himself to be, in the pro-life area, I find it very, I'm not a Christian nationalist. Does that make sense? I think I said it in one of the texts earlier. I believe it's possible to be a Christian. I believe it is also possible to be a nationalist and not be a Christian nationalist. Like, I don't think that at the end of the day that the government should be dictating religion to people.
I'm 100% in agreement with that. Yep.
And so
I go a step further and say I don't think the government should infringe upon people's bodily autonomy unless in instances such as having to imprison someone for crimes.
Yeah, and there's another element to this. And the element to this with theists is actually theists need to be pro-choice. And here's why. Because their God is pro-abortion. So they actually need to be pro-abortion. So they actually have another contradiction in their worldview. I never caught what your beliefs are, but I'm just saying theists in general, because it clearly shows.
I get that. I get that argument.
Clearly shows in the Bible.
I would say that from a theist perspective, from my perspective, apologies, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
But from my perspective, when I think of, and this is something that I think a lot of people do, and I understand why, you think of God, and the only way for us to really imagine God is as we imagine a human being, like in terms of the thought processes, in terms of how we weigh things like laws of logic, what is harmful versus what is not harmful. We humanize God. And so it would make sense to say that in that realm that you have a paradox if your God is removing quote unquote life on
God
earth.
hates all the people I hate. This is such a coincidence.
Yeah.
Then you understand what I'm saying? Like, and yet at the same time, you don't believe that humans should have that agency. But I would say that at the end of the day, you know, there are things that I believe should be between people and God, if you believe that God exists. And if God is real and you don't believe that he exists, ultimately, you know, you'll come to that knowledge, right? At some point,
Okay.
if that's the case, right?
All right. Well, let me ask you a question.
And I think those things should be, I think there are certain things that should be between you and your conscience, your God, you know what I mean? Like, and not, shouldn't be influenced upon you by a government authority. I'm maybe a little more libertarian in that sense.
Oh yeah, I'm totally libertarian. I'm a far left leaning libertarian. So I'm with you on that.
So why do y'all like to be dirty little finsetters? Just kidding.
Freedom, man, freedom. And so the question I have for you, Jay, is because this also introduces the element of suffering. When you said libertarian, I choked a little for a second. not that libertarian, Ember. Not that libertarian. I'm a left leaning libertarian, far left leaning libertarian.
He's not the oh, I'm a libertarian, and it's like you only agree with all the far right talking points.
Yeah, exactly. So if you do the four square, I'm like way at the bottom left, like about as close to like a communist as you can get. I'm like if we were neighbors, we would be like right across the line. Would I?
Oh, you would be. You mean communist in like the actual like definition, not like Chinese communism.
As a definition, yeah.
Right.
I'm much closer to a communist than I am to say a liberal. Much closer.
He's much closer.
I get. No, I understand now. I guess when you said it originally, I initially the first thing that came to my mind was China, and I'm like, ooh, that's not left.
No. China is not even.
They're not a communist.
To be honest,
they are.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like the schmutzes when they're like, we're socialists, but we don't do anything that agrees with socialism.
But we're not socialists like that.
Yeah, we're not that type of socialist, guys. We're the cool, you know. Hey, we're gonna slip in some of this little G-side real quick, but we're the cool socialist guys.
Mm-hmm.
Come down now.
Yeah. So anyway, just kind of get.
So you're like a communist, like Jesus was a communist.
Yeah, but in a sense, Jesus, in my opinion, Jesus wasn't really that. Wasn't like that either, because I got my own issues with Jesus. That's like probably a whole nother topic we can get into.
we can talk about that another day.
Oh yeah, he was a racist and a fraud and a liar. So I'll just put it out there. So definitely not someone I would aspire to be. Definitely not someone I would aspire to be.
He also did believe in paying taxes, so he definitely wasn't a libertarian.
Yeah.
I mean, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar, render unto God that which is God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was all for paying taxes, but so he's not totally in the wrong. I'm just saying, but overall, but okay, I digress. So
yeah.
So when when we're talking, so the other part is suffering, right? And harm, because I think you mentioned that. Now, actually, Jay, let me ask you, because I've kind of explained my worldview. I think you got a better sense of what my framework and worldview is. Mm-hmm. Are you which God do you believe in? Like the Christian God?
I am. God? Yeah, I am Christian. Okay. And I do, I do have a different view of Jesus. Obviously, okay. I believe in the traditional view of Jesus as represented in the Gospels.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so I can get something I can work with. Okay, so as far as suffering is concerned, because then that means you believe in the Abrahamic Christian God. So as far as suffering is concerned, do you agree or disagree that all suffering is necessary?
Yes, I agree that suffering is necessary insofar as it's inescapable.
Inescapable.
All of it?
Yeah, all of it.
What do you mean all of it?
Well, when I mean necessary,
okay.
What I mean is that there are instances that suffering can't happen any other way, that it has to happen. So does all suffering have to happen? Or could this existence still make sense? You know, like it wouldn't remove free will, things of that sort, without suffering. Unavoidable.
That's a great
Thank
question.
you. That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
I think that's a
Go
great question. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it too. I think suffering is unavoidable, but I think that that's because of the nature of free will. You know, I
Okay.
think free will ultimately allows for, you know, people to make choices that, you know, that hurt other people.
Fantastic.
And
Okay.
yeah.
Well, not fantastic, but yeah,
No,
meaning
yeah.
I understand what you're saying. Okay. And you said
Yeah.
it well. So so if it's you're saying it is unavoidable and it is necessary, if I'm
Correct.
hearing you right. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll look at this from a couple of different angles. So we'll look at it from two different angles to see. We're going to kind of stress test this. So
Sure.
are you familiar with the it's a genetic condition. It's a birth it's a genetic disorder called Edwards syndrome. It's
No.
also known as trisomy 18. So essentially what happens is in most cases for when a fetus has Edwards syndrome, it self-aborts because it's just it's a genetic disorder. It's a one of the chromosomes on one of the parents is just defective. And it has nothing to do with environment, has nothing to do with past history, like party favors, you know, partying. It's nothing to do with that. It is just a genetic defect. It's inherent.
Yeah.
They're born with it. And they pass this along. And
Okay.
just like they would pass along brown or blue eyes. Okay. It's the same thing.
Sure.
Except in this case, it does far more damage than brown or blue eyes. So in most cases, the fetus self-aborts. Okay. But in other cases, if the fetus goes to term, and the mother gives birth, the baby lives anywhere from, usually it only lives like a few hours to a few days. However, there are cases, which I personally know of one, in which the child lived to 9 or 10 years old. And in that sense, the brain never develops. It never develops properly. It can't, the child can't see, the baby can't see, the baby can't hear, the baby can't, has no, like, and their senses, it's as if they're constantly on fire. They just feel nothing but pain. It's just constant pain. It's horrific. And they have no chance of any type of development. They'll never speak, they'll never see, they'll never walk, anything. They're just in that state forever. And so, and this is clearly not a free will thing. So if you, and under your worldview, because would you agree that this baby is suffering?
Absolutely.
Okay. And so what's the necessity of that? Why is that necessary?
The necessity comes from imperfection within the genetic sequence that exists within us, because we are also inherently imperfect, right? Like I you know, have a small birth defect that's nothing like that, not even close. Like it's something that most people never notice. People that have known me for 30 years don't notice it. But we all inherently have the propensity for imperfection within our cellular structure. It's what causes cancer.
Science agrees with you. Yeah, absolutely. Cancer, you know, Down syndrome, things like that. Science agrees with you 100%. What I'm talking about,
here's where I don't want to jump too far ahead of, but I think I see where you're going. And so let me say that this is where our beliefs will diverge more significantly, because I agree with you on a lot. I've found, especially, you know, your objectivism and really, you know, most of what you've said. You know, I would say that I do more so my heart, like my emotion, my feeling for what that's worth. I feel for, you know, fetuses that are aborted, especially out of convenience. That hurts my heart. But like, I know there are circumstances that aren't that. Like, I know there are other types of circumstances, and my heart hurts for the mother in those circumstances where she feels like she has to make that decision. Like, I don't think that in a perfect world where this disease that you're referring to, like, let's imagine for a minute, if we would, a perfect world where there are no genetic inconsistencies. I think in a perfect world, we don't ever have abortion either. I don't think abortion exists in a perfect world.
100% agree. 100%
And so I would say that
There we go.
my personal
100% agree.
worldview is that the person who's suffering from this actually further cements my belief that there is more to life than the material universe.
Okay.
Because I would see that person suffering, and I know you're not going to agree with me, and I appreciate that you're not going to.
Hold on, Jay. Jay, I just for clarification's sake here.
Sure.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like what you're saying is a disease like this is necessary for you to have a better appreciation of life.
I don't know if it's appreciation for life. I would say that, someone who is going through this, anybody who's suffering from anything, it is our job as humans to try to mitigate that to the best of our ability, like whatever that looks like.
Okay. Let me ask you this then. So I didn't quite hear it. Well, yeah, I think maybe Hammy might have summed it up, but I didn't quite understand why this Edward syndrome is necessary. I know you did say, well, it's because of these, because we aren't genetically perfect and we don't live a perfect life, but I'm still trying to understand from your position, because in my world, that this is totally expected when you've got evolution through natural selection and adaptation, the laws of physics, all that stuff. Things like Edward syndrome, totally expected, totally explained. I'm not sure what the explanation is from an all-loving, all-powerful, all-knowing
Well,
God.
I don't think you're wrong. I don't think that it's necessary, because let me just say that.
Oh wait,
first
sorry
off,
to interrupt. I'm letting us go, chat, because we don't have anybody else in the guest queue, and I got to say the guest is polite and respectful, so I'm letting the conversation go on. So just wanted to say that because people are asking about the kick bowls.
Oh yeah,
but go ahead, Jay.
I would say that you're not wrong. I would say that, look, I approach most of my life from a place of ignorance, like, because I'm acutely aware of how much I don't know, right?
Same here.
And so that said, I wouldn't discount the notion that you're putting forth about adaptation, evolution, and how as things are manifesting, on a cellular level, that you're going to have these types of one-offs, we'll call them one-offs, where you have these terrible situations that occur as a result of that process. And I would say that that's not wholly inconsistent with the idea of God. I would say, that there could be a place where those things marry. I understand there's always this notion of, all loving, all powerful, right? I understand that. Like, I told you earlier, I have conversations like this with friends that are atheists frequently, and that's always a strong.
In the queue. Yeah, go ahead.
That's always a strong paradox to have to contend with. But I would say that from the position of being ignorant, as I am, I would say that we don't know what we don't know about what all loving and all powerful actually looks like or means. And so
Okay.
we can ascribe to believe that it means X when we just don't, just like we don't know what it is to be a tree, we don't know what it is to be a god.
Okay. Well, then in that case, if we don't know what omniscience is, if we don't know what omnipotence is or omnibenevolence,
Sure.
and then what that means is that we can't know what, if this God exists, we don't know what this God's intentions are. So then we can't call this God moral and good. You have no standard by which to determine that. So then it just comes down to faith.
It does. You're absolutely right. It comes down to faith.
So then if it comes down to faith, what that means is then that you don't have any evidence for whether or not this God, A, exists, or B, is moral and good. So this God could be evil, morally evil, and is intent and gives us free will in order to see us suffer, because this God wants us to suffer, and you have no way to determine if this God is evil or good or what.
I actually would not disagree with you. I actually think that you're factually correct. I don't have a way to prove that.
Yeah. And I appreciate the honesty. So then I'll leave this here because we do have somebody in the guest queue.
Yeah,
and I
understood.
started the poll and they want to move on. But so then I leave you with this. Then why go the extra step to belief? Why not just say, I don't know?
I think that at the end of the glass, I find there to be more hope. I find there to be more hope for us as people, all of us collectively, for me to believe that the being that has orchestrated the universe did it from a position of love and not from a position of hate and destruction.
Interesting.
And it's that hope that I rest in.
All right. Well, hey, Jay, I do appreciate the conversation.
Sure.
But yeah, there is a guest in the queue. So
Well,
I do
no,
have to
it's
move
been a
on.
nice conversation.
Yes.
You're a very nice gentleman,
Come
and I
back another
appreciate
time.
your friend Hammy.
Yeah. Come back another time.
Okay, guys.
I would like that. All right. Take care, Jay. Have a good day.
Yeah, you guys take care too.
All right. So it sounds to me that it ends up being a case of I would rather believe like a happy something happy that may not be true rather than an uncomfortable truth.
You'd rather believe a happy lie than an uncomfortable truth.
Yeah, exactly. Hold that thought. I'm going to ask you to hold down the chat for a second, Hammy. I gotta.
You know what? I was thinking that I could do a dramatic reading.
There you go. Okay.
Well, gone.
Okay. Why don't you do that? I'll be right back in a couple clicks. I'll be right back.
We're going to cleanse the palate again with some Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh, I love this.
Yes. And instead of doing it as I was doing the last time I read from here, I'm going to do it in a dramatic reading. Let's see here. Where were we the last time? Knew your house was so interesting. Okay, here we go. We're starting on page 13 from where we were last time. You may think it interesting, said Diggory, but you wouldn't like it if you had to sleep there. How would you like to lie awake listening for Uncle Andrew's step to come creeping along the passage to your room? And he has such awful eyes. That was how Polly and Diggory got to know one another. And as it was just the beginning of the summer holidays, and neither of them was going to the sea that year, they met nearly every day. Their adventures began chiefly because it was one of the wettest and coldest summers there had been for years. That drove them to do indoor things, you might say. Indoor exploration. It is wonderful how much exploring you can do with a stump of candle in a big house, or in a row of houses. Polly had discovered long ago that if you opened a certain little door in the box-room attic of her house, you would find the cistern and a dark place behind it, which you could get into by a little careful climbing. The dark place was was like a long tunnel with brick walls on one side and sloping roof on the other. In the roof, there were little chunks of light between the slates. There was no floor in this tunnel. You had to step from rafter to rafter, and between them there was only plaster. If you stepped on this, you'd find yourself falling through the ceiling of the room below. Polly had used the bit of the tunnel just beside the cistern as a smuggler's cave. She had brought up bits of old packing cases and the seats of broken kitchen chairs and things of that sort, and spread them across from rafter to rafter so as to make a bit of floor. Here she kept a cash box containing various treasures and a story she was writing, and usually a few apples. She had often drunk a quiet bottle of ginger beer in there. The old bottles made it look more like a smuggler's cave. Diggory quite liked the cave. She wouldn't let him see the story, but he was more interested in exploring. "Look here," he said. "How long does this tunnel go on for? I mean, does it stop where your house ends?" "No," said Polly. "The walls don't go out to the roof. It goes on. I don't know how far." "Then we could get the length of the whole row of houses." "So we could," said Polly. "And oh, I say." "What?" "We could get into the other houses."
All right. Sorry
Yes,
about that.
talking about breaking and entering. Oh, okay. Well, then we're done because you're back.
Sorry about that. All right.
Unless you want to hear a little bit of it to end out the page.
Yes, just a little bit, and then we'll bring
just
it
a little bit.
Just a little
Okay.
like a little
yes.
Aretha Franklin. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Yeah. We could get into the other houses. Yes, and get taken up for burglars? No, thanks. Don't be so jolly clever. I was thinking of the house beyond yours. What about it? Why, it's the empty one. Daddy says it's always been empty since we came here. I suppose we ought to have a look at it then, said Diggory. And that's it.
Thank you. And thank you for holding it down.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for holding it down. All right, we'll bring Success 23 up. How's it going?
Hello, how you doing, man?
Doing well. All right. And just for TikTok purposes, are you at least 18?
Yes, I'm 41.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. And then which God do you believe in? The God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran?
I believe in the God of the Bible.
All right.
which is the same God of the Torah
True.
and the Quran. It's just history, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Oddly enough, sometimes people will come up and say, well, there's a distinction. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to ask all three, you know, just because. All right. So what's your best evidence of success that God is real?
I think my best evidence, because I was a non-believer for a long time. I don't like labels, but I guess you could say atheist is described.
Mm-hmm.
For a long time, and I started having experiences.
Okay.
You ever seen the movie Doctor Strange?
Yeah.
Great movie. Okay, you remember the part where the wizard like knocked his consciousness out of him inside the yeah, I had an experience like that.
Yeah, something like that. Okay. All right.
Yeah, and it kind of changed the way I look, because I mean I was always, hey, you know, material world, and nothing, you know, everything was relegated to the realm of magic and all that crap, right? That's how I thought, right? And I was 36 when this happened, actually.
Okay.
You know, I began to research it, and I found out about astral projection, and you can imagine I just started like vehemently gorging myself on knowledge of what happened. And so the one thing, when you've had experience like that, whether some people talk about you know, the Holy Spirit or different things of that nature, you know, all type of different things where it's something outside of the physical. But I think when you have an experience like that, it changes something in your mind about what you know to be, you know, it changes your perception of reality.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I hear that. I had a friend who had a near-death experience. And so he was actually in he had the same thing that happened to Steve Irwin. Not that a manta ray like pierced him, but he had the same
Right?
injury. Yeah. Wasn't a manta ray that pierced the artery, or was it the aorta or something like that, or something like that. One of the major veins up in here, but
it hit one of the in Steve Irwin. It hit one of the major things, and of course, he knew better. But at the same time, as a freaking human being, when something enters your body, your very first reaction is, "Get this out of me!" And he did what all humans do.
Yeah,
exactly.
And so my friend had a similar injury. I can't remember what went through him. He just had enough sense not to pull it out. So that's how he survived. But he was in a coma for months. He almost lost his life, lost a lot of blood, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So he was in a coma for quite a while. And so he went from non-believer to a deist because of everything that he thought he experienced while he was under. So
yeah, for me, it's a lot more to this story. I mean, if you would bear with me, because it gets. I mean, I'm not gonna go into it because I know this is a live chat.
Okay.
And, we have people, but I begin to have even more experiences.
Okay. Well, I can ask you a question that kind of we can get to the rubber meets the road part. So, now the question I have for you is what method did you use to distinguish that this experience is true versus all the other experiences that everybody in every other religion has had throughout history that justifies their belief as true? So, we're talking people who believe in the Greek gods. They had their personal experiences because we had people who consulted the oracle that actually thought that they talked to the Greek gods. We have people who practice Wiccan and they cast spells.
Yeah. I actually have a friend who believes in the Greek gods, but the thing is, she absolutely hated the Greek gods beforehand. Like, she sincerely detested them. And especially the deity that she works closely with currently, she sincerely detested this deity. Yeah. And had an experience, and yeah.
And then we throw in Hindus who have their own personal experiences that they are convinced that Brahma and Krishna and Vishnu and Ganesh and Shiva are all real, right? We've got pagans who all are convinced that Odin and
Don't make me bring
Loki and Thor. Yeah. So how did you distinguish that your belief in the God of the Bible is true and theirs aren't?
Well, I think and I can't even say that theirs aren't, because there's things that as I begin to pray and ask God about, that I didn't get an answer on. Like, it's like, it's kind of like, knowing the higher intelligence, kind of like when you go to school for math, they can't tell you or they probably could tell you exactly what you're doing this math for, but it makes more sense to give you the formula first, and then as you build, you can understand, because you can't understand, three-dimensional images on a two-dimensional plane. It's better to just teach you X and Y coordinates and then go on from there, and then you'll start to understand.
Understood.
You get what I'm saying? And so that's kind of how I took it, what I was being given. But what made me kind of draw towards the Bible was because I read some yoga stuff. I read different things, and when I started to read the Bible, I started to have these experiences that were like, I guess you would say, reenactments, but if you were there being a part of the reenactment.
Okay. Well,
if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so
it makes sense.
That was my...
Okay. I understand. And I've actually, like, other people have told me this before in other religions, exactly the same exact word track that you're using, that they read the holy books and then they had like these experiences that either, like you said, reenactments. Okay. And these are across all these different religions. So we're kind of back to the same question is then that means that a Hindu who had a reenactment that was very similar to what they read in the Bhagavad Gita and Vedas, that makes Hinduism true, right?
Uh, from where I'm standing, yes, it could be. See, there's multiple things that's going on at one time. It's kind of like in science where we read about, the different subatomic particles and these do that and quarks and neutrinos, and you have also that happening in the immaterial world as well. So when energy is no longer confined within a physical body, I guess you would say, or if that makes sense, there's like multiple ways to express, if that makes sense, for being to express itself. Like some people
what way? Because I mean, from
in
what
like
we know scientifically, that when bodies, energy leaves bodies after bodies, people die, it just kind of goes into the ground. That's what we know.
but we know that there's no such thing in science of like zero energy, right? Like based on what they're doing at the CERNs and all that type of stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
there's not such thing as zero energy, but what I'm saying is that like when the body breaks down into, when it decomposes, I mean that's energy being transferred. So it doesn't disappear, it transfers. It goes into the ground and all these different,
Right,
into bacteria, into cells, all that other stuff. So it just
Closest
it
thing we get
transfers.
to
Yeah.
the closest thing we get to zero energy is like whenever we're talking about like the net version of it, right?
Yeah.
So like for instance, one system could have a positive 5 energy, right? Whereas another system could have a negative 5 energy. When you add it together to create the net energy, it'd be a net 0 energy. But that's not the same as literal 0 energy, like no energy.
Yeah, right. It's not the same. But I guess, but see, but I think it doesn't really, because the other part of it is that like for example in Hinduism, they talk about something that's called the Maya, which is like this big illusion that's just pulled over our eyes, right? Like everything in this world is the Maya, it's an illusion. So they would say that, oh well, you were just your belief is you being affected by the Maya, your reenactment, your experience, that's just Maya, it's an illusion. So how would you be able to distinguish between it being the Maya versus something that actually happened?
That's a great question. And see, that's why it's so hard, because if you have the experiences, it's kind of easier to, maybe, but it becomes difficult in the way you're asking it, as far as like for like evidence. It's like we never found
agree, like a person with schizophrenia, for example. It was another friend of ours in the community, in the deconstruction community. I can't remember who it is, but they were telling me that they have a friend who suffers from schizophrenia, and that they put cameras in their house so that whenever they experience a schizophrenic episode, and I'm probably saying it wrong, so forgive me, chat. But they would go and they've had enough of these experiences that they thought were so real but are not real, that they train themselves to go consult the camera. So if they think they hear a voice, or if they see like a face floating by or something like that, they will go consult the cameras, the video in their house, to see if it actually happened, because that's where they're at in their state. And so but their experience tells everything that they feel, see, hear, etc., tells them it's real. So when they see a floating head, talking to them, it feels real. It seems real. They hear the voice, and then they reach out and touch it, and it feels like they've touched it. But then they still go to the camera and there's nothing there. So again, how do you distinguish? Because you would agree that is a very real experience to them, but they have, these are delusions. So I'm not trying to say what you experience is delusion. I believe you experience that, just like I believe that this person experienced what they experienced. What I'm trying to get from you is, how do you distinguish that it actually happened versus an experience?
Well, the best way I could think of it is like looking at science. We have uh, atoms and subatomic particles that we talk about as if they're real. And I can't show you an electron. I can't show you you right. I can only explain to you the.
We can measure them.
I mean, and
we can
that's
observe
and
them.
I was going to say their effects on things, right? Their
We
effects
can
on
use
things.
we can use like really high powered microscopes, and we can view a lot of
We
these
can
things.
observe them
Like
too.
for instance, yeah,
And we can see the effect.
most germs we didn't know they existed, right? We had no fucking clue these were even something that were a thing, and then we created microscopes and we saw them. For instance, another thing is your water bears, right? Water bears are these subatomic particles. So you're talking like smaller than what you're talking about, right?
Right.
And
So they say that. Right.
we can view those.
Okay, but what about like the elusive particles that only exist for microseconds? And
You're talking about
like
you're talking
bosons
about
or whatever.
those bosons where they pop in and out of existence. Well, we still see them when they're here.
We observe them. Yeah.
Like what we watch, we observe them. The whole entire reason why we know they pop in and out of existence is because we've observed it happening. We've seen these quantum particles not there, and then out of nowhere are there, and then we've watched them then disappear again.
And then pop up in a different place.
Yeah, and pop up in a different place.
Yeah.
And see, that's why we have to do more. I think we have to science and religion or belief has to, at some point, start, maybe running tests together, because there's so many. There's so many people, just like you were mentioning. I can't say that the God of the Bible. I can't tell anybody that the God of the Bible is the only God, the real God. I mean, I may believe that, but that's coming from a place of belief. I understand that. I don't think I can force that upon anybody or expect, have that type of expectation that a person just goes for what I say. Right.
So here's kind of a problem with that, though, right? Because if it indeed is the Muslim God, because in like the first or second page of the Quran, it says there is no other God but Allah. And it is clear, unequivocal. And if you don't believe in this God, you will forever be tortured in the lake of fire, forever. To the point where it also says in other surahs that Allah will regrow your skin when it burns away so that you will feel the effects of the torture forever. And this is simply not believing and worshiping Allah. So how do you know you've backed the right horse?
You do not believe in me? You do not worship the ground that I've created for you? Then you shall burn for eternity for this mild inconvenience of me.
Yeah. So, because you would agree, if it is the God Allah, I mean, we're all fucked, right? I mean, you and me, at least, we're fucked. I mean, it's like, okay, you and me are tortured forever, regrowing our skin. We're going to feel this forever simply because we didn't believe in Allah. And that's what I'm asking you is, for something like this, like, how confident are you that it is the God of the Bible? Like on a scale of 1 to 100, 100 being absolutely no doubt.
It's hard to talk about because there has been things mixed in, right? We know that there has been things mixed in, and that's why even if you read the story of how Yahshua, Jesus was, right? And it sounds so contradictory to how the God of the Bible in the Old Testament was, and so there is a this element of, how could I say, evidence of tampering, right? From one time period to another and that type of thing. And so I think what I can say definitively is that I don't think the ideas of like soul, spirit, love, empathy, and that type of thing is inherent. Just, I don't look at it as something that comes from something, just this physical makeup of atoms and molecules, and
so like, for instance, whenever I see like my niece, right? I love my niece. I adore my niece. She is funny. She is adorable. There's one time she came by, and I was trying to, go to sleep because I work overnight shifts. And she came by and she said, "You want to come out and play?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm trying to sleep." And she's like, "Well, you could play for a little while." And just the adorable way she said it, it was like, you know what? I can't argue with that logic. You're right. I can. Give me just a second, and I'll be right out. And I sat there and took off my shorts, put on my pants, walked outside, and went and played with her. So I love her. Now, I can explain how that love manifests. I can tell you that I love her because whenever I see her and she's like laughing and playing and giggling and having a good old time like children do, the endorphins in my head go off and it floods these Trust, what's the word I'm trying to lose? It's not feelings, it's something like it.
Sorry, I was responding to somebody in chat. I didn't hear what you said.
It floods these it floods my brain with these
endorphins.
Endorphins.
Endorphins. And causes me to be happy whenever I see her doing all these things, right? And I know she loves me because, she'll sit there and every time she sees me, her gets this big old smile and it lights up the room and she's like, "Uncle," in my first initial, and she runs over and gives me a hug. Like I see the love. I know I can see that. I know that it's there, right? I don't see how now adding that, well, all that happens, but actually there is something above that, and not just something, some being above that is now flooding my brain with that stuff. So how do I get from this is my brain reacting in a way whenever I see her to this is a God that's flooding my brain with these things whenever I see her?
Well, I think it's the natural state of who you are as far as on a consciousness level, something that's immaterial of the body. Because otherwise, it would, as you just mentioned, it was kind of conveyed that, oh, this is God giving you this versus this being your natural state, like this being who you are outside of your material body, right?
So this isn't. This is just like I'm trying to understand how, because your original statement is that you can't imagine this all just being from natural processing and things like that. Right, I'm trying to understand how that comes from.
Yeah, and
because for me, I guess I just look at it in a way of, it's kind of like how the host is talking about morals, and the natural selection doesn't cause for morality. It really doesn't.
Totally disagree. So we have evidence.
It doesn't. It's not necessary. It's not necessary for any material.
And it's very necessary.
The idea of morals.
I can give. Yeah.
Okay. I want to hear this. Yeah.
The idea of morals itself, but.
Yeah. So from an evolutionary perspective, back whenever we were cavemen and we were more nomadic and we were, traveling the plains and stuff like that, right? We would we would create fire to, stay warm, right? And we hear the rustling in the bushes, right? And we knew that we had to react as if this is a predator, because the second you don't, it then is the predator and it attacks you, right? We all know, we hear about that. But whenever it comes to morals, as far as like for instance, I need like if we're just looking at mechanical wise here, I have a group of people that I'm with. We need this group of people to hunt. We need this group of people to forage. And the more we have, the better off we are in order to survive. And this becomes an evolutionary process in our brains that this is why we need this. And we've continued this on the line, even whenever we decided to then become a more agricultural society, where we started creating cities and things like that, where it's no longer necessary to have these like take care of the children because of the fact that, we need more bodies, right? And then it becomes
Okay.
like the morals end up evolving as the time goes on. I may not be explaining that. I just
Okay,
now
but
thought about it.
what
Am I
I'm
explaining that
mentioning,
good enough? Or is
Yeah.
that
what
terrible?
what I'm mentioning is why have it at all? Because I mean, there's societies such as most societies that are developed actually pillaged and shrewdly,
But that doesn't mean
immorally.
that
I'm just saying.
but that doesn't mean
But
that
they,
it doesn't come
but
from
they,
evolution.
but what I'm saying is they expanded and prospered regardless. So
Okay.
to say that we need morals to survive is not real.
Well, okay. Well, let me kind of address a couple of things. So for one, I put it in chat. So if you go back through my chat, I put a study that's been peer reviewed, and it's from 2021 by Simic et al. Those are all the researchers, and it's called Understanding Emotions, Origins, and Roles of the Amygdala. And so what they found is that the origin of all emotions comes from the amygdala, and that they were able to pinpoint this and measure it, observe it, study it, etc. So this is strong evidence that it comes from the brain. It originates in the brain. And we have yet to see, emotions floating out without a mind. It always seems that emotions come from a brain. You got to have the working brain, and you got to have a mind, because the other part of it is that, like, for example, people in comas, they don't express emotions, right? Because their minds aren't working quite right, okay? Because they're in a coma. So just like my friend I was telling you about who was in a coma, he didn't express any emotion. He was just in a coma. And he may have been feeling them inside of his brain, but he wasn't expressing them, all right? So everything that we see, everything that we know, we see that emotions originate from a brain and from a mind, okay? And so then to your second point about how you can't see that it comes from evolution, there's another piece to this. And Hammy, yeah, he's doing like the cultural, social evolution part. And but I can tell you that it also comes from a developed mind, because what we see is that we see in different parts of the animal kingdom that we're starting to see that other like animal groups seem to have their own like set of morality, like elephants, for example, crows, like they seem to have like they express this type of morality. Like I remember in Psych 101, we were looking at altruism, and that a lot of animal groups express altruism, and that it is actually advantageous to be altruistic, because it helps, like as Hammy was saying, it helps with survival. So that's like the social and cultural aspect of it. But from a mind standpoint, that we have, what we've seen so far is that we have a very intricate moral system, and that other animals have elements of it, but we seem to have a pretty intricate one. And it also gets to the point where we can discuss these things, like we have different sets of moral systems. Like there's a subjective moral system, there's an objective moral system, and things of that sort.
So why do you think that is? Well, hold on, let me ask you a question. Stay right there. Why do you think that is for human beings, being as though we're not really all that far removed on the evolutionary ladder from one group of beings to another on this planet? Why do you think that? I'm just asking you a personal question.
I can explain this very, very simply. It's because humans developed the curiosity to say, hey, this meat tastes good. I wonder what happens if I put it over fire. Literally, that is like people ask a lot, like, if we evolved alongside monkeys, then how come our closest primate ancestors haven't become like us? And the simple fact is the fact that we decided that whenever we eat our meat, it tended to taste better if we cooked it first. Mm-hmm. And whenever you cook meat, it causes your brain, it reacts differently on the brain than uncooked meat. And therefore, the brain grows and it gets bigger and it gets the capabilities to do that. So if you were to introduce eating meat and cooking it to our closest primate ancestor, and you give them thousands to millions of years of them doing it on their own, I would argue that we possibly could see an evolutionary development in their lineage,
Possible,
where they
yeah.
become closer to us.
Yeah.
It's possible.
And I think
But I mean, even
no, go ahead.
even if and I like that. I mean, don't get me wrong. That's a great theory. But I
Well,
think
it's not just a
absence
theory.
of meat. I'm what I'm saying is I think absence of meat, even vegetarians, a group of human vegetarians, right? That there's something different.
Vegetarianism is something that is relatively new.
Mhm.
It's something that it comes more along the lines of moral implications, right? A lot of people sit there and see the atrocious factory farming, and they see the way that certain animals are being bred specifically for eating, and the wastefulness of it, and they say that that's morally wrong, that we should back away from eating meat products due to that, right? But when it just comes to how did we get to a point where we, become self-aware, we start thinking about emotions, and we start like being able to articulate these things.
And it all happened. And it all happened because of barbecue. From barbecue.
Yeah, basically.
So barbecue made us actually intelligent.
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly,
man.
It's the
They
way
got
that
barbecue. I'll be
the
like a
I think
Stephen
I might have
Hawking
to
by
clip
now.
that. I might have to clip that.
right? Yeah.
But yeah, for sure.
It's the way that
I
the way
agree
that the
with you.
heat
Yes.
it's the way that the heat actually renders the fat that helps us, cause us to have in an old ancient meme phrasing, get big brain, right? We become big brain whenever these fats get rendered, and they end up eating it.
At the end of the day, it's just ability to process more protein and nutrients and things like that, and that leads to bigger brains. And also the way that we can manipulate our environment. We have opposable thumbs, because like whales have much bigger brains than we do, right? But they don't have opposable thumbs. So, in that sense, it does.
Those opposable thumbs, and see what they do.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
Give them
so-
some opposable thumbs
so-
and let's see. But that
so,
doesn't
okay, when
mean that. So I just want to make this one quick point. That doesn't mean that we don't think that like cats or dogs don't have empathy or anything. I'm not saying that. I'm not going that far. What I'm saying though is that we seem to have a pretty intricate set of morality, and and that and we're far from, like, we're still studying like different animal groups. That's all I'm saying.
Right, but I'm saying that so all our intelligence came from cooking the meat, which was to kill. I'm sorry, to unalive another being, which is a circular argument now that the immorality calls us to
Okay.
be.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna get into the morality argument, because we're gonna
I
get
mean,
into
it
the
has
other
to
reason I
come
don't
back.
believe in this God, because I don't think this God is.
Well, I'm saying, but well, we're not. So okay, because we're saying that unaliving another being that was on par with ourselves and barbecuing it is what gave us intelligence and evolution. So out of that immoral act, because we had to be on par prior to with whatever animal we unalived, right? And
We
then
were
we started barbecuing the meat.
And
hold on.
I'm going to tell you that, but we got to a point. See, that's the thing, and that you're actually making an argument in favor of evolution, and here's why. Because we evolved to the point where we saw that was wrong. We're like, oh wait, we probably shouldn't do that. And this is actually, for any subjective morality people, this is actually a point in favor of objective moral realism. Because if you're saying that, yeah, because there was something called cannibalism, right? And now we don't practice this. It's almost unheard of. It's in very, very, very small pockets of humanity, right? And if you ever read the E-Files, oh boy, it was definitely, it was practiced there as well. But that I digress. My whole point is that we saw that as contradictory, because if you're a tribal group, right, and you're eating people from another tribe, you begin to see, wait a minute, they're just like us. We probably shouldn't eat them, because that would mean then that we can just eat our own. And we won't do that. So what is the difference here? So we began to discern that and understand that. And so that's why the practice has mostly died out. Okay. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Like
Fun fact.
yeah,
Fun
like
fact.
we don't got
That's
we don't got like bands of Canadians coming in like, just eating Americans. You know what I mean? It just
right.
doesn't happen anymore.
So I
But fun
mean,
fact, that same logic is the same reason why a lot of Christians opposed slavery during the antebellum South, right? Because what happened was whenever they would come here to the Americas, they would force them to be
back.
Christians.
Go ahead, Hammy.
Yeah,
I'll be right back.
they would force them to be Christians, and then other Christians who started the abolition movement of stopping slavery, they sat there and started to feel a little bit uncomfortable with the fact that they were enslaving their fellow Christians. So the same logic applied there as well, is that they said, hey, we don't like that we're doing this thing to our fellow brethren. We should stop that. And so the same thing happened with cannibalism. It's we didn't like this, so we should stop that.
but BK the trucker, some people would say don't knock it till you try it, but I wouldn't say that for your comment. But I would like to say that going back, I was responding to somebody in the chat, just a joke.
Yeah.
Hemi, I would like to say that okay, but still in all, let's get back to it now. So you're saying that the unalivement of a species on par with ourselves and the thus preparation of the meat over some period of time.
I didn't say like when you say on par with ourselves. What do you mean here?
Because we couldn't have been that much more intelligent because the intelligence came from actually cooking the meat. So okay,
so our brains were already big enough to understand that, hey, we should do X, Y, Z, right? Because compared to certain other animals, when it comes to say, for instance, like clothing yourself, right? Most other animals didn't really need that because they had fur that helped protect them and whatnot. And we're kind of like, for the most part, fairly hairless compared to other species. And so like we realized that, hey, in order to be able to survive in these elements, we should like have something that covers our bodies, right? So we already had some form of intelligence, right? And then what happens is somebody, like a group of people sit there and went along and was like, they were already killing deer and some of the megafauna from like right before the last ice age, right? And they were already they were killing buffalo and all that stuff and still eating them, but they were just eating it raw. And then a group of people sat there and said, hey, I wonder what happens if you put this on fire. And they did it. And they ate it. And they said, hey, this tastes better. So they started doing that. And then they showed other groups of people, hey, do this. And then they all started doing it. Until it got to the point to where, for, however long it took, from not cooking the meat, or from just starting to cook the meat, until their brains evolved to become bigger.
So you're saying these hominid species wasn't barbecuing one another? They were barbecuing the lesser. One another. Yeah. It was the lesser.
I mean, you probably had some tribes that probably were out there doing that, but I mean, yeah, we're not going to talk about them. Those are the tribes that are like, probably like your seldom few people who sat there and did that, and some of them probably did it more or less for their proto-religious understanding of like sacrifice person because the rain needs to come.
Oh, I can't wait.
Well, it could have been out of starvation too. Like, that happened to some people that was on the plane, right?
Well, that's what happened to the Donner Party back in during the passing over the Rocky Mountains. The Donner Party back in the 1800s. What happened was they went too late in the season, and the path got swept away by snow, and they couldn't figure out how to get out, and so then they had to start eating one another in order to survive.
Oh, let me jump in real quick.
Was like,
sorry. Again, just want to jump in real quick. So also up on the panel is All Righteous Atheists, and if you guys don't know, we've there's been a couple videos put out about that, but this is a joint between me and Lobes, the absurdist. And so soon we're going to have a live in which Lobes and I are going to be the all righteous atheists, and we're going to do things like have talks like this and games and stuff like that. So if y'all aren't following All Righteous Atheists, I highly encourage you to. So it's just it's another project, it's another venture that we're doing.
So once again, we would still say that natural selection, there could be no. I mean, it doesn't allow for a moral code, because if my ultimate job is to survive, then it doesn't matter how I survive.
What do you think?
So as
Well,
long
hold on,
as I
real quick.
survive.
Before we continue, what do you think natural selection is?
Yeah.
Natural selection is, at its core, as defined, well, to us, explained to me, is that the strong continues, and the weaker of any species or whatever will eventually perish. I mean, yeah, it's true.
Different things.
It's true. It's kind of like the slower animals will eventually unalive, and
No. So the thing is for starters, you're conflating two different things. There's natural selection, and then there is survival of the fittest. These are two totally different concepts. They tend to overlap sometimes, but they're two different things. And survival of the fittest is not survival of the strongest. Literally, survival of the fittest is the ones that can adapt the most and produce offspring. So in other words, if you can fucking produce kids that have better advantages, then you're good. So for instance, in the case of snow rabbits, right? Our Arctic hares. If there was Arctic hares that were brown in color, they would clearly be seen and they would get eaten. Whereas the ones that produced white fur would then be able to survive. So survival of the fittest is surviving the conditions of the climate you're in and being able to produce viable offspring.
Yeah, and
whereas,
natural select.
go
ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, you were about to say it.
Natural selection is as opposed to like selective or human selection, right? Or artificial selection, where it's these traits are selected naturally due to different processes such as gene mutations, due to environmental stresses, due to a bunch of different factors. That's all. That's it. That's all natural selection is, right? It's the species that gets picked due to natural processes. That's all it is.
Yeah,
and I could be wrong. So, Trust, you want to?
Well, there's because there's also elements. There's some nuance to it. Like there's like something called like selection pressure. So it's not always. It's just like a trait or traits or a set of traits that are advantageous relative to other like external environmental factors, like like things in the environment, predators, or things like that. So at the end of the day, it's about, like what Hammy said, it's about who gets to produce offspring, and then they pass their genes on. So selection isn't so much about it's not like it's random or anything like that, and that's why I'm disagreeing with you when you say that has nothing to do with morality, because I mean that's essentially what you're saying. That
now, Hammy just mentioned that the white rabbits thought, right, that it would be better to be what the brown rabbits thought that it would better to be.
Because see where you kind of get into morality. Well, see,
hold on. Did their thoughts create them white, or what happened?
No. It's like I said, it's environmental selection. All right. So
yeah, it basically it's mutations whenever it comes to like Arctic hares. It was a mutation that happened whenever they started migrating up north, and these let's say they started off brown, right? What ends up happening is as they migrated up there, they had to work harder to survive, and these environmental stresses create gene mutations in their offspring that will then help get them get them into better advantages. So for the Arctic hare, it was the environmental stresses that created the genes then gave these animals white fur. So what ends up happening is, as the brown furred hares get picked off, the white furred hares are the only ones that are left to then reproduce and therefore have offspring, and then all the brown hares get picked off. So then there's only the white hare, Arctic hares. Did that make sense?
Okay, yeah, I see it from that point. Okay.
Okay. And so now if we're gonna bring it all the way back around to morality. So back on to morality. If you look at it from the selection standpoint, it is selectively advantageous to have some type of moral system, better morality, because as Hammy was talking about earlier, if you've, like, for example, if you're a tribe that has, like, you know, if you're a tribe of hunter-gatherers and you've got a hunter who is your best hunter and is going to provide your entire tribe food, if one of the other people in your tribe unalives that hunter, it is disadvantage. It is a huge disadvantage to the survival of your entire tribe. So that means that some type of like correction or punishment would have to be put in place for the person who unalived that hunter, because for the future you want the rest of your tribe to know that's not acceptable. Don't do that. So that's how morality in essence developed, because and again, we see this in other animal groups. Like we see it in chimpanzees, we see it in elephants, we see it in whales, we see it in monkeys. You know, all different types of different animal groups, they have like elements of morality within their, like, we're seeing this, we're observing this. So we can tell that this is something that evolved. We have a lot of data on that. So we have strong evidence that it is due to the process of evolution that this is possible.
And I would say that it also,
and
like,
one more time, I'll be right back. Go ahead.
Also, the morals thing is also part of it can also be shaped by your environment as well. For instance, it is not like there are certain things that are not innate within people to know for a fact. These things get taught to us as time goes on. Like, for instance, it's not innate for a child to know that stealing is wrong. They see something they like, they grab it, they may walk away with it, not understanding that what they just did was stealing, and that stealing is wrong. Then it comes in the parents, hey, that stealing is wrong. And then and the more you reinforce that, the more they get to understand, hey, that is wrong. And while he is away, hello chat, how's it going with everyone out there? And Top Seeker over on YouTube, I saw a little bit of what you said about the Arctic hares shedding, and that was fascinating. I loved it.
Yeah. All right. So I think, are we still on the morality thing? Because there's like another thing I want to like talk about and bring up as far as morality and God.
I'm not sure because the guest has went on mute and then
I'm still listening to you guys about the morality thing. I'm still listening.
Okay.
I just had muted myself because I'm doing something in the background.
Gotcha. Because this is the thing that the other problem that I have with like my lack of belief in God, or any gods for that matter, is that if this reality, this universe or whatever you want to call it, was created by a god, it depends on what this god's attributes are. Like clearly the power to create is one of the attributes. But if we're going to introduce other things like omniscience, like omnipotence, like omnibenevolence, then I think the entire coherence of an all-powerful, all-loving, creator God completely falls apart. It just starts not making sense. And then we can look at that through just one aspect, and that's suffering. So now, guest, do you think that all suffering is necessary in this reality success?
Yeah. Well. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Well, I think that. Yeah, in a way, because I mean, just like I think Hammy just explained it about external pressure, environmental pressure, that type of thing. It does bring us to a higher awareness, I guess, in some aspect of it. So it's kind of necessary, I guess you would say.
Okay, so like when I think of suffering, like because like in a world where no God has created, I think suffering is as expected, especially if it's the laws of physics, evolution through natural selection and all that stuff. Suffering is totally expected, and it makes sense. It's not something that's desired or wanted, but it is expected. Now, with a God in the mix, it starts not making sense, and here's why. I hit one angle with another guest, but I'll use the other angle because you can look at it two different ways. So, would you say then that if an animal is if there's an animal that is caught in a forest fire and that forest fire is started by a bolt of lightning and that animal dies, would you say that animal suffered?
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
So now you said all suffering is necessary. So what's the necessity of that animal suffering, dying in a forest fire caused by lightning?
Oh, well, I guess it wouldn't be necessary, the actual feeling of it, but the idea of
even the suffering. Yeah, just the suffering.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
like in your world, why is that necessary?
Well, in the analogy that you just gave, it would be kind of hard to explain, but I would use a different analogy, sort of like how you were describing about the penal system in prison and that type of thing.
Yeah,
for that suffering to be necessary to bring someone to a understanding.
Sure. Yeah, but I don't want to pivot away from the animals because you do agree that this animal suffers, right? And so, is that good under your worldview?
No. I would just say that it's a happenstance of reality.
It's a happenstance of reality, which is explained in my worldview. Totally agree with you. Now, but in a God, in a reality with God in it, it's kind of like this, and I'll introduce another little layer to this. So just imagine, let's just say you had a neighbor, right? And this neighbor had a pool, right? And this neighbor, you see this neighbor, going out there and cleaning the pool, like, once every couple days. He has a big net, right? With a long pole. He's got a net and he's cleaning out leaves, right? So one day you just happen to look over the fence and you see this neighbor with the net and the long pole, and there's a squirrel in the pool, just happened to fall in the pool, and this neighbor is watching this squirrel struggle, and then this neighbor of yours, it just stands there and it watches the squirrel drown, and then it shrugs and then it walks away and it leaves it floating there. What would you think of this neighbor?
Yeah, I would say that would be a lack of empathy.
Lack of empathy.
For the squirrel.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible. Yeah, it's not a good thing, right?
Correct.
Okay, so you would agree then that this neighbor had the power to rescue this squirrel, right?
Right.
Okay, so we have in effect, so God in this instance is the neighbor with the long pole with the net. He's just standing there, and every day this God watches animals suffer and die when he could just do something and not let them suffer. So we have animals all the time who die in forest fires, who drown, just by happenstance, by accident. We've got animals who are prey, who are caught by predators and they're eaten alive. Okay, that happens all the time, like fish.
We see animals getting hit by vehicles, and
animals getting hit by
they
cars.
still live in there, and they slowly die from
They slowly die. Yeah, like they're not instantly killed. We have animals who are born with defects, like birth defects, and they're missing legs or whatever, and they can't properly live in this world, and they eventually die. They suffer and they starve to death and die. There are animals. I was watching a documentary on monkeys, and one of the baby monkeys lost its parents, lost its mother, and it was ostracized from the group because it didn't have the right scent or whatever, and it died. It just starved and died. They would bully it. They would ostracize it. They wouldn't let it eat, and it just eventually died. And it's you would agree all those things are suffering, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm trying to understand is, because this is something that a Christian or just a Abrahamic God believer has not been able to give me an answer on. There's just no explanation for this, but I'm curious to hear what you have to say. Why would a God allow all that suffering of animals? There's no explanation for that.
Well, according to the Bible, everything started off perfect. There was no death.
Mm-hmm.
And the choice of the higher beings on this planet
real quick,
to know the difference between, I guess you would say, suffering and non-suffering, or life or death, or whatever paradox, right?
I just have a real quick question. Where does it say that everything was perfect?
Well, it just says good. It doesn't use the word perfect, but
it's
articulated it's articulated to be perfect, a state in which there was obviously no unalignment, right?
Okay.
And so
so some things were once good, and then
right, and then there was a new set of laws introduced by virtue of making a decision.
Okay, Adam and Eve.
It's kind of like the measurement experiment with science. How they say, the double slit experiment. I think you understand.
Yeah,
that right. You probably could explain that better than I can explain it. But
I can explain it, but the thing is that it's not. It's always misconstrued.
Yeah, it is misconstrued, but I don't want to lose the forest for the trees. I want to stick to what you're saying. Guess
that's why I muted.
Yeah. So essentially, it's because of Adam and Eve, the fall, right? We live in a fallen world. Is that where we're going?
Correct. Yes. And now the laws of that choice has put into motion this dichotomy of
got it.
Right and wrong, hurt and pain, joy, and that type of thing.
Okay, so now you would agree that these animals then had nothing to do with the fall, right? So they just kind of got swept up in this. They're like unfortunate victims in this.
Right.
Okay. So essentially it's a consequence, and this is God's world, right? God created this world. These are all God's rules, right? Or because if not, whose rules are these?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So if these are God's rules, right? And God's rules include because of the fallen world, God's rules include allowing beings who had nothing to do with the fall to suffer, then it makes it good to punish beings who don't commit a wrong for somebody else's crime, right? Is that good?
I wouldn't say good, but there could be a higher purpose to it.
There could be. Okay. And
right. It's kind of like let me give you an analogy. Like when we clear out a forest and create a subdivision, right?
Yeah.
You know, of course, there's going to be ants and small creatures and things that get displaced or just eradicated in that area.
Yeah, I understand that. But then the other part of it, though, is you would also agree that there could be a higher power or higher purpose, but then that also means that there couldn't be a higher purpose because it goes both ways, right? So there may not be a higher purpose.
It's just, you saying just pure entertainment.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, is because if you can't give me the reason why, then you can't say, well, it's a good reason why. I don't know what it is, but it's a good reason why. Like, would you accept that? Let's just say that you had I'm just go back to this. This is a bad neighbor, by the way, but you
all of y'all have sat there and broke my vase. And I come to find out that it was actually Trust who broke my vase. Well, guess what? Now Trust, you, and Reckless are all getting punished.
Yeah.
All of chat are getting punished for breaking my vase because how dare you Trust? Everyone gets it now.
And on top
because
of that,
of Trust.
And on top of that, Hammy told me not to touch the vase. He said, "Don't touch that vase."
I said, hey, Trust, do you see that vase that sits there and says, I look like a very touchable vase?
Yes.
Yeah, don't touch it.
All right.
Don't touch that vase, whatever you do. Now, I'm going to fuck off for a bit. I'm going to go over there and do some Hammy stuff
and the other,
for a little bit.
The other piece is Hammy said, and if you do touch that vase, I will put belt to ass. That's what he said.
Yes,
to me,
I will put. I told him that. I said, Trust, if you do it, I will put belt to ass. And I was like, all right, now I'm gonna go fuck off and do Hammy stuff. Mm-hmm. So I fuck off and go do Hammy stuff. All of a sudden, Trust sees that vase. That even on the vase it says, "I am a very touchable vase," and Trust says, "You know what? I'm gonna go touch that vase." He touches it, and it shatters immediately just upon touching it. I come back and I'm like, the fuck, bro? I told you not to do it. You get belt to ass. So guess what? Now everybody's going to get punched. But you're not going to get belt. Everyone's not going to get belt to ass. Everybody just gets kicked out of Hammy's house.
Yeah. And on top of that, the animals too. The animals too.
Mm-hmm. The animals too. You know what? Your little doggy that wasn't even anywhere near here. Your doggy was over, at your neighbor's house. He's not going to be allowed in my house anymore either, because of what Trust did.
But would you say that the Trust decision inherently would suggest that everybody in the chat would eventually, or someone in the chat would eventually make the same choice that Trust made? So,
well, we're talking about the animals. Right.
Yeah, okay, we're talking about the animals too. The animals don't.
Yeah, Hammy's punishing the animals too.
Yeah, I'm punishing the animals too. I'm punishing all y'all's dogs, your cats, your squirrels, your whatever kind of animal you might have.
Yeah, whatever pet you have, they're included.
I couldn't even possibly get up there to touch the vase because I had it in a case, and I shut the case and everything. I'm like, that's my vase. Don't touch my vase. And yet somehow, they can't get to that. I really like that vase.
You really like that vase.
It said exactly what it said, that it was very touchable. I said, you know what? I like that vase. So I'm going to lock it up. I'm going to shut this case and staying in that case. And Trust sat there and said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just open that case and I'm going to touch it anyways. The animals couldn't possibly touch it because they couldn't open up that case. So, but I'm going to still punish the animals too. The animals that, you know what? The little squirrels and the ferrets and the cats and the dogs, yeah, no, all of them get punished too.
Yeah. So was it good for Hammy to punish the animals?
Well, if to keep vases from constantly being broken, at some point we would have to say not just trust in the chat, but even your dog. Just say your dog is capable of obedience, right? Or not, right? It would eventually come to the dog running around the house and possibly breaking the vase also.
Right. But does the dog understand that you are not to touch this vase?
Well, the dog has the ability to obey or not, right?
Right, but not all animals do, right?
Well,
Reckless Religion has a pet snake. We're not training that snake not to touch the base. I mean, it's a snake. It's just going to do what it's just going to do, right?
True.
Look,
True.
Is it right? So is it good for?
Elephants-
Yeah. So is it good for Hammy to punish the snake for what I did?
Yeah. See, that's a hard one. That's a hard one.
It doesn't. Okay. It's undefeated. Sorry, it's undefeated. Because
it will go into a realm of like, and it eventually goes into a realm of this. God being of so much higher intelligence than us, we could never understand why. It's kind of like your parents. When your parents tell you don't do something and you're 4 years old, 5 years old, whatever, and you don't quite understand why you're being told not to do it, or that type of thing.
Okay.
But there's an element of what your parents understand that is maybe protecting you, or maybe
totally understand. So if there was a situation then in which your parents put belt to ass, and it was, could you tell whether or not this was a good or so if they did it for the reason of I felt like it, could you distinguish that between I felt like it and you went and ate 20 cookies right before dinner time?
You would have to evolve to the point of understanding it, because now we, as adults, can understand why you don't eat 20 cookies before you actually.
Okay. So, but that's my point, is that if we have to evolve to understand it, then, but that doesn't mean that it's a good reason, right?
And we have to keep in mind that in the Adam and Eve story, this is literally, they're eating from the knowledge of the tree of good and evil, which means that they don't have this understanding that disobeying what God just said is a bad thing. And as you said, there was no death beforehand, so him saying, hey, you will surely die if you do this, like, they have no reference of what that means. So they are literally that toddler who has no understanding on what's going on and what's happening right now.
Snake, or the snake, squirrel, the pet ferret. They got no idea that this is coming, right? And I think that's the thing, is that if we can't say we don't have that higher level of understanding, we can't call it good. We have no basis to call it good.
But we can't call it evil either, because we don't have that higher level of understanding. It just is.
It just is. But what I'm saying, though, is that in my world, it just is. In your world, you have to call it good. Because if you don't have an explanation for why it's good, then you can't call it good. That's a bigger ramification for you. That's a bigger implication, because you can't call the God that you worship good. And you don't want to worship an evil God, do you?
Of course not. And I would say that the good comes from, the good part comes from faith.
Okay, so if it comes from faith, okay, so now we're all the way back to where we started when you first jumped up on here, because every religion uses faith to justify the belief in their God. So then what this means for you then is that there's no difference for you to be a Christian versus a Hindu versus a Muslim versus a Buddhist. There's no difference, because it's all faith.
Not only that, but you can use faith to justify some of the most heinous actions.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you, and we can argue that these people were mentally unwell, and I would probably agree with you. However, we've heard and know of the horror stories of the people who said that they had to unalive their children because God told them
to.
That it was better, that they would go to heaven, and if they didn't unalive them, then they would become, get infested with demons and things like that. And they took it on faith that this God, that this entity that's speaking to them is doing what's right.
Yeah.
They took this on faith. And so, like if we can have like, and don't get me wrong, you can do incredibly wonderful and good actions based on faith. I'd like, it's the same flip of the coin. If you can do incredibly horrible things, you can do incredibly good things, but that is not a very good indicator on figuring out if this is true, if this is reliable, or if this is real.
Well, I would guess if I didn't like my parents, I didn't love my parents, and they gave me a spanking for eating 20 cookies before my dinner, I would probably think that they were evil. But if I had a love for my parent, then I would say, okay, well, maybe mom and dad did this for whatever reason to, maybe I don't understand it.
Okay.
But the end result is for my good.
Okay. Now, would you have the same love for them as if they were spanking you for, I don't know, spanking you for wearing shoes? I'm trying to find like a stupid reason to spank a kid, but or just because they felt like it. Would you still have that if you loved them?
Because they whenever they pulled the pin on the holy hand grenade, they counted to 5 and not 3.
Yeah, but like, would you have that same love? Because I think the common denominator is that you love them, not that they've done the right thing. You see what I mean?
Yeah, because you wouldn't know if they did the right thing.
You would know.
You
Yeah, that's
to
what
know.
I mean.
Right.
And so this kind of goes back to what I was saying. You have no way to determine whether or not this God is good. Because if you don't know the reason why these animals suffer, you can't say it's good. You can't say, because, it doesn't explain a higher purpose, or God is, way smarter than us. That doesn't explain why. And we just don't know. We're not smart enough to know that. It doesn't explain why. You can't say this God is good. You just can't say it.
Yeah, I knocked over a glass of water one time when I was 6. My mom was still alive, and she completely kiboshed me.
Yeah, sure, Lando.
For no reason, because I knocked over that glass of water, and she called me every name in the book. That's like totally not a reason to beat me for knocking over a simple glass of water.
I watched a video a little bit ago. I say a little bit ago, it's before I came on here, where it was showing you what trauma does to children. And what happens is, it was this controlled setting where this little kid is with this adult who is speaking, and like as if she was a toddler to the toddler. And she's like, see, look at this. She puts a little cone in this dish, puts a lid on it, hands it over to him. He takes the lid off and pulls the cone out. And she's like, oh, that's fun. Yay, look at that. And then she takes this other thing that looks like a little snake, puts it into a dish, and somebody comes in as part of the experiment. And they sit down. And this kid was happy-go-lucky to pull the thing out of the dish or whatever. And what happens is, this person says to the person who just came in, hey, look at this. And then plops it in there and pulls it out and throws it on the table. And that woman's like, that's stupid. That's annoying. Like, not even like, like physical abuse. Not at the kid. Yeah. Not even at the kid. Just at the adult. Yeah, and so what happens is, this lady puts that thing into the dish, hands it over to the kid. The kid doesn't touch it because of the way that woman spoke to the other adult. And it was like, oh shit, right? And so these are different things that happen to people whenever, like when this happens.
I'll do one last thing, because you've been up here for well over an hour, and there's two other people waiting success, but I'll give you the last point to make, or if you have a question or whatever you'd like to do, and then we'll wrap it up. So
okay, well, my point is simple. When it comes down to religion, there's an element of faith to it. It has to be, because, like you said before, if this is intelligent, being way above ourselves, then there's things that we can't possibly know maybe right now in our current state. But I think that there's something inherent in all human beings that like expects for things to not just exist in the evolutionary way, you know, but how could I say things like justice, you know, things like right and wrong and that type of thing. I think that um, religion has done a great job in the sense that it has helped civilize the world, even if it's just amongst a tribe of people, or even if it's just amongst, it's a reason why every group of people have utilized this science, or whatever you want to call it, to develop beyond, whatever point they started.
All right.
Living in America, I live in America, so I can only speak to, being born and raised in America, that it seems to me that the religious people of America, we would have to say that America is the way it is due to having some type of religious framework.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for sharing that, but we're gonna move on. But hey, I appreciate you coming up.
Oh, thank you very much for having
All
me.
right.
This is a great discussion.
Yeah,
All right.
great conversation. Take care.
Why drop
All right.
that bomb at the very end?
I know,
though?
man. I know.
Oh my god.
That could have been a whole nother conversation. So success. Just based on what you said at the very end, come on back, because I'd love to talk about that. Yeah, I'd love to talk about that. But we got
so
time for,
much about that.
I know, right?
About.
I know, no, right? Exactly. I was like, oh man, did I not just hear that? Oh my gosh, yeah. So we're gonna take up one more. There's someone who has some questions, so we'll bring up Lando, and then I got a dip. So how's it going, Lando?
It's Lando Calrissian.
Hey, brother, how you going?
I'm doing well, doing well. So
Yeah, look, I was just here to ask a few questions. Like, you're atheist and you don't believe in God and that.
yeah. Which by the way, just a couple things real quick. Are you at least 18? And then do you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, the Quran?
Yeah, I'm 22 years old, live in Melbourne, believe in Jesus Christ.
Okay. All right. Okay. So you have some questions. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, do you believe in any sort of spirits or anything like that at all?
I don't.
Okay.
Now, there are some atheists who do. Like there's atheists who believe in astrology and ghosts and things like that. I'm not one of them.
Okay. How would you feel if someone, let's just say someone walked up to you in like a shopping center or something and said, hey, is it all good if I put a black magic spell on you or like any sort of witchcraft? Would you feel comfortable with that?
I don't think I would, because that's kind of weird for someone to just walk up to me and say that. Just like it wouldn't be comfortable. It wouldn't be comfortable for me if somebody said, hey, to me, it's the same thing as somebody said, hey, if somebody just came up to me like that and just said, can I pray for you? I think it's the same thing. And I would not be comfortable with that, just from that perspective, because I think there's a personal space thing, like it's crossing a line, a boundary.
Yeah,
so,
I understand that.
Yeah. I wouldn't, but it's just weird. Right. And so
what if,
but I don't,
what
it's
if
not that
you,
I believe in it. I don't believe in black magic or spells or anything like that.
what if, like, say you're at your friend's house and you were having a few drinks or whatever, and one of them pulls out an Ouija board and says, hey guys, I really want to try this.
Oh, yeah,
Just say I was you. Oh yeah. Did you get anything out of it?
No, not at all. It's basically what they've done studies on it, and essentially one of the things that they were able to find is if you blindfold everybody who uses the Ouija board, nothing happens. It's just completely. It's just it is 100% entirely dependent upon you looking at the board, which means that it's your brain.
Another aspect of this is that what they did was they took the planchard, which is just the little eye thing that you put on there, right? And they stacked up very thin, small pieces of paper on it, and had everybody put their fingers on the paper. And so, like in traditional, like whenever you're thinking of the black magic stuff, if it's a ghost that is moving this, they're going to move the planchard, and they're going to move that around, right? So with the people's fingers on it, if the planchard gets moved, what happens is the stack of paper will go bottom first and then kind of create like a Leaning Tower of Pisa thing, where the top end is going to be like closer to where it started at, and then the bottom half is going to be moved around. Whereas if it's somebody who is moving it with their fingers, it's going to be the exact opposite, where the top end is moved forward and the bottom half stays closer to where the original starting position. And so what they've done is that they did that where they, went to go do it, and the things started moving, and everyone's like, I swear I'm not moving it. But whenever you look at the stack of papers, it's moving from the top first and not the bottom. So it's them subconsciously moving it without actually meaning to move it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll probably jump out now. I was just hoping like for a different. I was just gonna elaborate on if you said yes or whatever, but
Okay.
yeah. Thank you for letting me join, and
no
hope
problem,
you have
Lando.
a good day, man.
Okay. Have a good day, Lando. Appreciate you.
Thank you,
Take
brother.
care.
Bye.
All right. So, my instincts were right. I thought that was going to be like pretty quick. So, it's
yeah,
kind of what I was hoping for. Yeah. Well, no, this was fun, man. This was a lot of fun. That last conversation was pretty good. Yeah, till the end. Oh man, why couldn't I have come up like an hour earlier?
Like that. If that would have came up an hour earlier, oh my God, we would have been able to go through it, and I've been like, you're stomping on stuff that you.
I know. I could have. Oh man.
I think religion did good because it's civilized, and I'm like, what?
What? Yeah, exactly.
What?
Like,
You think
what? Yeah. So I hope he comes
What were
back
the
so we can talk about
Crusades?
that. Exactly. But I think this is the first live I've done in a long time where the Bible did not come up one time. Yeah, I'd love to do it today, Success, but I can't because I gotta go. But I think this is like the first time in a long time I didn't talk about the Bible one time. Like it didn't come up once. I mean, we talked about the
you're
Quran.
right. It didn't, did it?
It didn't come up one time. We talked about the Quran, but we didn't talk at all about.
Yeah, we brought up certain stories, which we at the end we brought up the Adam and Eve thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was the only one that brought up the Bible, though.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. But it wasn't. Yeah, it was like I didn't quote scripture one time today. That's like I can't remember the last time.
Guys, we got to pack it in. User 1 says atheism has been defeated. Shit, we gotta go. We'll pack this up. We've all stopped being atheists now.
Yeah.
Now I gotta grab my rats and snakes that y'all say that I have.
Yeah, exactly. They're all suffering. Yep. Rats and snakes.
They're all suffering.
They're all suffering. Or you gotta expand on that 1 acre. But yeah, it's the first time in a long time. So, and no problem for every atheist. So, everybody follow Hammy. Everybody follow Reckless Religion. Everybody follow Ethereal Ember, and let's also give thanks to Hammy and Reckless for being co-hosts today. So,
yeah, Hammy, get out of my property, will you?
Yeah, exactly.
God.
Look. I'm sorry that you need 2 acres for all your rats.
I need all the fucking acreage, okay? God damn it.
Snakes.
Do we want to end on another reading?
I don't have time today. I do have to go. But we'll do it next time. And I want to also thank Rainbow Ash, Blaster Master 80, and I think Marduk was in there earlier. The mods on the YouTube side. So they're not our mods in the sense that we own them, but they are our mods in the sense that they're a part of they are our community. So they're ours. Like they're one of us, right? And they represent us very well. So
we don't own them because that is illegal now.
That is illegal now, and that is immoral. Yes, we don't do that.
Yes.
We don't own people, but they're ours in the sense that they're one of us. So thank you, mods.
Ours in spirit.
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
exactly. So lots of heart puffs and roses if you can spare them. I know it's a tough economy, but if you got a penny or two, throw a couple, to the guests up here, to the co-hosts and mods. So just thank you guys. I really, really appreciate you. So
I look forward to All Righteous Atheists. That's going to be a fucking epic thing. That's wow.
I tried to give him a minute to say something, but He might have been on break or something, but yeah, I can't wait. That's going to be a lot of
He
fun.
was
He came
in,
unmuted and the guest came back and started talking again.
Yeah, that's true.
he was in Christ Before Jesus is Live doing the cyber
Oh, that's back.
impersonation.
Oh my god! If none of y'all have seen that, y'all need to the next time you see Lobes or what's the other count there? What are
Now
y'all
it's All
called?
Righteous Atheists. Yeah. Now
All
called
if you
Righteous
see
Atheists.
Lobes or All Righteous Atheist, and it's Lobes who's controlling it, you have to sit there and say, "Do the cyber impression."
Yeah.
Like be like the little kid in Shrek. Neither are. Like do the cyber impression.
Do the cyber impression, or just ask him if your back's going to get blown out, or something like that. Just ask that, and that'll trigger it. That'll
Or ask him, "What's your evidence?"
Exactly. So anyway, I do have to go. Let's find someone to raid. That's the last thing I got to do. And I saw that Deconstruction Zone is on. He's on. We also have Board Agnostic. And if you guys haven't watched Board Agnostic, fantastic creator. I love Board Agnostic. Her questions are so surgical and so sharp, and just she's like a surgeon. Like she's like with a scalpel. So
I will do one reading here that's a quick one, and it's just this.
Absolutely.
60% of the time, it works every time.
Exactly. So let's go raid Board Agnostic. So just put that in your search bar when we're done here, and we'll just, guys know what to do. Just do TBV raid, and we'll just show Board Agnostic some love. So everybody have a great rest of your Monday. I'm going to be on a little early tomorrow than my usual time. So it'll probably be, it's going to be a couple hours earlier. So you're going to look for me a little earlier tomorrow. But I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Monday, and this has been fun. So take care, guys. Have a good night.
Goodbye, everyone.